Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our 20th edition of WAW. But it's really 20th official edition because we've been doing this way longer than 20 episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
We actually started during the middle of COVID, but it wasn't very official because we were just doing live. We weren't doing this StreamYard and little overlays and fancy stuff. So welcome, everybody. We are so happy to have you here. Welcome, Patty. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a very, very special guest, but let's start off with our mission statement where important topics of the day are largely ignored and
foolishness reigns supreme,
and
which is where I come in. Yeah. I'm all about foolishness.
And I must like it because I've been here 27 years of this foolishness.
Well, I make life interesting for you.
I love it. I actually love it. Rick Morgan,
hey,
welcome.
Rick.
Todd, welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
Hi, you guys. So we have a very special guest tonight.
We always have a very special guest. I say that every week. This is a very, very special guest.
Yeah.
Guys, this guy is, if any of you have seen this guy play or sing, you know this guy is incredible.
Yeah.
And one of the few people to pass over from tribute world to real world, right?
Well, I mean explain that. Explain that a little bit.
How many
hi, Shannon. Hi, Tim. Hi, Karen.
You know, it's the dream of every tribute artist to eventually play with the original artist.
You're right.
Well,
Regina says August rocks.
He's the man.
He rocks.
He's the man. Hi, Grace. Hi, Tim. So yeah, August is one of the very, very, very few that have passed over from the tribute world to actually working with the original artist. And it's very well deserved. He's a phenomenal singer and guitar player. I don't know of anybody. Hi, Denise.
Hi,
thank you for joining us. I don't know anybody that could do Tommy Shaw better justice than he does.
Wow.
I mean, and that's, as Switch says, that's not a toy for tots.
No, and in doing a little research and getting videos together for today or tonight, I have to tell you, I was I love Styx, and I have to tell you, he nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely
nailed it.
So that we saw him at the Pacific Amphitheater. It was a double bill with Dennis DeYoung's band and Pat Benatar. And man, what a phenomenal night that was! It was incredible. I mean, every song was a hit.
Oh,
every song was a hit, and August just knocked it out of the park. He was unbelievable that night. So
hello, Bob.
We are so thrilled.
Hello,
to
Manny.
have him.
So Shannon says,
hi, Carly.
How I would love to sing backup for Pat Benatar. Yeah, that's a good Shannon. That's a great idea. You should pursue that. Really, you should.
Absolutely. I mean, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward tonight because it's an incredible story about how this all came about with August.
Yeah.
Very few. I mean, only two people.
Only a couple people we know that have actually crossed over.
But so it is possible, guys. It is possible.
Yeah.
It's just not probable.
Well, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
But who else? We don't know him, but
we do. I know David Victor.
No, but I'm saying that one of the main ones that crossed over was Journey, the lead singer for Journey now.
Yeah, that's right. He was in a cover band. He wasn't even in a tribute
band. But he was
singing a Journey song.
Yes,
that's
exactly right.
It.
Yes.
But okay, yeah. So first of all, though, let's talk about our sponsor.
Okay. All right.
In fact, I am going to see him tomorrow night.
Yeah, we are. You know why? Because
tomorrow afternoon, actually, he doesn't work.
My amazing sister's coming to stay with me from Washington State for 3 weeks because she got a job working at Warner as a costumer.
When were you planning on dropping that on?
And she's going to be using your car, so we're going to get the car ready.
Really?
We're going to
Oh, okay. So we get the service for your sister.
It's okay. Alzheimer's. We talked about this. My sister is borrowing Jim's car and Jim, you are so gracious to lend my sister your car for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing.
I thought it was kind of nice.
Yeah, it's super cool.
But so wait, you didn't show them the graphic. Hi, Lynn. Lynn has joined us.
Lynn. Yes, Lynn. Manny says, let's see what
Dave Drusidem. Hey, Dave.
Dave, we haven't seen you for a long time.
Hi, Kim.
All right.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you guys for clicking on.
Manny says, seen August several times at U-Jams at the Rose with Dennis DeYoung.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Does a great Thomas Shaw.
That's right.
He's the best at it, honestly. That's why he's in the band with the original member, right?
That's right. All right, so let's talk about our sponsor.
Yep, Calvin's Auto Repair. He's the guy you want to go to if you have any kind of automotive issues whatsoever. I'm going there tomorrow because the dreaded engine light came on again. Can you believe that?
Shh, we're giving the car to my sister. Don't say that.
Okay, so if you have a car or truck, go see Cal.
If you want to save a buck, go see Cal.
Take the car in for your wife.
She will love you all your life.
Go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Calvin Ellis.
At Calvin Ellis Auto Works. Hold on.
Auto Repair.
Oh, I'm sorry, I always do that. I don't know why I do that. I feel like he needs to change the name. I don't know. Auto Works flows a little better.
I don't know. I like Auto Repair.
All right.
Because the initials spell car. Calvin's Auto Repair.
All
car.
Right. Calvin's Auto Repair.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll let him keep the name, whatever. Okay. So it's 501 East Glen Oaks Boulevard in Glendale, California.
Yeah.
If you need a good mechanic, he's your guy.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going over there tomorrow afternoon.
Yep.
And remember to mention WAW, and he's sure to throw you out of there. I'm just kidding. He will give you a 10% discount.
10% off of your entire whatever engine that you buy from him.
Yeah, whatever service you need at the time.
Right.
So yeah, that's what's happening.
Let's do a real quick month in review.
Yep.
This month we have, of course, tonight we have August on the 7th. Next week we have Juan from DSB.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Juan's gonna be. That's gonna be.
We can't wait. We love Juan. We've double billed with him several times.
Oh yeah, I've known him for years.
Then we have Bettis. You guys, we're going to introduce you to a new up and coming guy who does a Prince tribute. And I'm telling you, I watched some video on this guy. He nails it. He nails it. So we're excited to meet and talk to Bettis, who does a Prince tribute, and then our friend Gregory Fensley from Queen Nation is on the
inimitable Gregory Fensley.
Just a super talented guy from the word go. That guy.
Nobody does
so much
Mercury
talent.
better
So much
than
talent.
That guy. He's incredible. Plays the piano and self-taught, and he's a great drummer too. We saw him play drums with California Dreaming.
That's right. That's right.
So please mark your calendars and make your plans to join us every Wednesday night. The last two, unfortunately,
we're changing it up. We're going to have to come to you from a Monday and a Tuesday, but we'll let you know. We don't want to confuse you on that. It's just, Jim's starting to work again. So oddly enough, he's being booked on a Wednesday night, which is so weird. So weird.
2 Wednesday nights, correct? Is that correct?
Yes. Hello,
2
Claire.
Wednesdays.
Hi, Claire.
So on the third week, watch for us on Monday night.
Yep.
We're going to be with the Prince tribute artist, right?
Well, Monday's going to be Prince. Yes.
Bettis.
So let me show you the schedule one more time. So just so you know, it's not going to be the standard Wednesday night that we always do. So the 7th and the 14th with Juan is going to be Wednesday, but then we're going to have to go the 19th, which is a Monday night because Jim is playing on Wednesday and Tuesday.
That's correct.
And then with Gregory, it's going to be Tuesday, the 27th. But we'll keep you guys posted. We'll remind you to come on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's see. We've got, what kind of shows do we have?
Stephen Randall. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
Stephen, thank you so much for all your help. So Stephen helped Jim at the Saban Theater with Led Zeppelin.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, last weekend. You did a great job. So thank you so much, Stephen. We appreciate all your help.
Hi, Claire. Wait, Claire said hi to Brenda. I guess she doesn't.
Steve. Hello, Michelle. Michelle
Claire,
is on August's beautiful wife.
Oh, hey,
yes,
Michelle.
Yes, Michelle. Our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Yes.
We heard.
Yeah, he's not feeling well today.
No.
So
we're with you today. We're with you today.
You get better soon, Michelle. So yeah, Claire says hi, Brenda. I guess I'm not here.
Okay, well let's add a little insult to injury and go ahead and do it.
What's that? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, guys, who's having the best hair night tonight?
Yeah. It's a good one today, I have to tell you.
You'll see it in your check depending on who you
let us know. Hey there, long time. Hey.
Hey, David.
Hey, David. How are you?
Oh, my word. DBA Creative.
Okay, Shannon, my girl. Let's hear. Let's just get this over with. Best hair day.
Okay, Shannon, who's got the best hair day going on? Shannon.
She's gonna talk. So Michelle says, our daughter saw you last weekend at Spawn. Yes.
Yes. That is so awesome.
I wish you would have come up and said hi to us. Next time.
Yeah, next time. Yeah, definitely have her come and say hi the next time.
Definitely. Shannon's all human.
Oh,
Shannon, you're not.
Thank you, Shannon.
No.
Thank you, Shannon.
Shannon, there cannot be a
Yes.
There should be no thought involved in
this. Wait, Denise. Denise says she's like. Wait, what?
Look at.
Oh, hey, wait, come on.
Yep.
Shannon.
Our friends are honest. I tell you that every weekend. That our friends cannot lie.
You know what? I think next week I'm just going to shave my head and be done with it because I can't.
I think that'd be pretty cute. You have a beautiful face. You can get away with a shaved head.
Oh wait, we got Kim joining us. Ziggy is with us.
She didn't
thank you for joining us, Ziggy.
Oh, someone in the band. Oh, next time, definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Tell her to say hi. We would love to meet her.
Hey, Sean. Let's see.
But you look handsome as well.
Oh, well, thank you, Shannon.
She's throwing you a bum. Thank you, Shannon, for throwing him a bum. No, it's very nice.
What is?
I felt like it was sweet. She threw your bone.
Oh, okay. Is that what it is?
Yeah. All right, you guys. So
it's going to be a rough night. Hi, Elena. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Elena.
Hi, Becky.
Do we have any more sponsors going on? Oh,
no.
Did we talk about? Oh, guys, look what I'm drinking out of tonight. So this is a tumbler I made. And these are the villains of Disney, the Disney villains. I make, and I'm sure you all know, tumblers.
You want to show them the graphic?
I will. I'll show you the graphic. I make tumblers. Whatever you want. These are actual tumblers that I have made for different people. But I was actually trying to do the math the other day to see how many tumblers I have made.
Yeah.
And I have made over 160 tumblers.
Wow, really?
160 since last June, which I started 2020. Mm-hmm. And it started off just as a hobby. And I'm telling you, it's ended up as a business and I love it. So every week, I'm going to spotlight a new tumbler. And this is one of my tumblers that I've made. And this is the villains of Disney. So whatever you guys want. I have a whole website. Oh,
and
here.
What about that one?
Okay, this is one. This one says, I Googled my symptoms. Turns out I need more guitars. So this is one I made for Jim. Still have to put his name on the back. Actually, right there. Name on the back. But this is one I made. So they start off as sterling silver. No, not sterling silver. Sterling.
I don't know.
Silver.
I just pay for them.
Tumblers.
I'll let you worry about what the head is.
Just pay for them. So, and I paint them. I glitter them. I put vinyl on them.
Yeah.
And they, you guys order them, and you've been amazing. And thank you.
Stays cold for
thank you.
24 hours. Oh, by the way, everybody's been asking me, when is Deja Vu playing again? Well, we've got 2 shows coming up. One on the 20th, which is a Tuesday night, which is of July, 20th of July, at the Candlelight Pavilion in Claremont, California. We're playing there on the 20th and the 21st. So if you'd like to come and see Deja Vu at a really nice theater, a full band production, we've got our rhythm section.
It's beautiful too. All right, so before we bring our very, very special guest on, I just have a question for you guys. If you could answer this for me.
Yeah.
We are streaming from 4 different platforms, and we're not sure if all 4 different platforms are coming in on the feed. So if you could just let me know what platform you're streaming from, whether it be mine, Jim's, the WAW Facebook page, or our YouTube page.
Yeah.
Let me know what platform you're streaming from, so I know that all 3 of them or 4 of them are coming through. Yes.
It's stainless steel. That's what
stainless steel. Yes.
There you go, Michelle. Thank you.
I don't know what did I say? Sterling silver. I think I did.
Sterling silver.
I did say that. I don't know.
It's going to be an interesting night, guys. Okay.
All right. So if you would let me know, just tell me what platform you're streaming from, whether it be Jim's, mine, our WAW Facebook page, or our YouTube page. I just want to make sure that all the platforms, and it's perfect. Thank you, Elena. Thank you. I just want to know what we're streaming from and make sure everyone is coming through. Looks like Brenda's platform for me. Okay. Michelle says Brenda's, Blondie's page, WAW. Okay. So they're all coming through.
Lisa's on the WAW
Okay. All right. They're all coming through. And that's what I wanted to know. All right. So we are going to bring on
our good friend, August Zadra.
Yeah.
We're going to play a little promo video to kind of show you what he's all about here. And then he's going to join us and answer our and your questions.
Yeah. All right, you guys, enjoy.
August, I think the good people of LA, they're looking for some more rock and roll music tonight. Oh, mama, I'm in fear for my life from the long arm of the law. Lawman has put an end to my running, and I'm so far from my home. Oh, mama, I can hear you a-crying. You're so scared and all alone. Hangman is coming down from the gallows, and I don't have very long. Yeah! The jig is up, the news is out, and finally found me. The renegade who had it made, the truth for a bounty. Never more go astray. This will be the end today. The warning man. Oh, mama, I've been years on the lam. There's been a high price on my head. No messing getting dead or alive. Now it's for sure he'll see me dead. Dear mama, I can hear you crying. So scared and all alone. Hangman is coming down from the gallows, and I don't have very long. The jig is up, the news is out, they finally found me. The renegade who had it made, the truth for a bounty. Never more to go astray. The judge will have revenge today. The warning man.
And here he is.
Welcome, August.
How you doing, August?
Man, that is. Oh,
wait.
we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
It's
okay.
Oh, it's muted on that.
Let's
There
see.
There you are. There you are.
It's you.
How you doing, brother?
Doing great, man. It's great to see your faces. And anybody who's out there, hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, can you see the comments, August? Can you see the comments coming through?
Can you hear my dog? Let's see. Charlie said,
Yeah.
"Oh, now I can." Okay. Well, I can't type and talk though. I need Michelle to help.
Oh man, we can't thank you enough for being with us tonight, man.
That stuff just makes me want to sing loudly.
Please
I feel
don't.
like I was singing loudly.
Singing. It'll turn out a lot better for us.
I was doing jumping jacks, so I was singing. That was kind of cool.
Oh man. So yeah, we just want. Well, I guess we'll just jump right in on everything.
Right into the deep end. Hey,
yes,
there's the drummer.
So, right. Now I know the answer to this question, but I don't think anybody else does. Where were you born?
Fairbanks, Alaska.
Wow.
Born and raised. I was in Alaska for 21 years, and wouldn't trade growing up there for anything.
Yeah, 20. So, what brought you to the? What brought you to Los Angeles?
Kind of to try to do the abridged version of all these, but.
Yeah.
So I was in a band with some guys when I was, all of us in high school, just out of high school, thinking you're going to go take on the world, right? And the drummer ended up moving to Dallas, and I had a bass player friend down there. And so he starts telling me within a couple of weeks, man, you got to get down here. We have this awesome band, and it's a great scene, and we have, major label interest. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So they had this whole band together. All they needed was another guitar player, man. I've been telling them all about you. You're going to be the guy. It's going to be great. I'm like, yeah, well, this is very exciting. I'm like, let me save up some money. Maybe I'll come down after Christmas. I can't just up and leave. Right.
Right.
And so I did that very thing and got down there, flew down on New Year's Day to Dallas, and with a trunk of clothes, 50-watt Marshall head, and a Stratocaster.
Wow.
And later that afternoon, I got picked up, went to their apartment, took a shower and stuff, and I'm like, when are we gonna meet the guys? Let's do something. And they're like, well, I'm gonna tell you something. We do have a really great band, and we do have major label interest, and things are going great. We don't have any interest in having another guitar player. I'm like,
oh wow.
Man.
What? Right? And I don't even have enough money to turn around and go home. Like, what did you do? What'd you do to me? And he said, well, I had to get you out of Alaska, bro. You never would have made it. 21 years old. And he's 2 years younger than me. And he's already, we were so innocent back then. You got to get out of Alaska. You'll be 21 years old pretty soon. By the time you're 22, you'll be a rock star, right?
Yeah.
But,
well, it's
getting a short version, and ended up living in squalor for a few years there on their floor in their place. And then I went to an audition, and I didn't get the gig, but I met another guitar player who became one of my best friends in the world. He was best man at our wedding, and he's a really great guy named Mark Blythe. And so it always comes back to this, that if my friend Ken hadn't got me out of Alaska, and then my friend Mark wouldn't have arranged for me to have a reason to stay in Dallas, I never would have met Michelle. And so I wouldn't eventually have been here. I wouldn't have, my two beautiful daughters. And, life is interesting. Takes some interesting twists sometimes. The Lord works mysterious ways, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So when did you know? When did you know you wanted to be in the entertainment business? When did you know you wanted to be an entertainer?
And I like that you call it the entertainment business because, well, let me see, skate around this a bit. So when I was a kid, like a high school or teenage boy, I was a big fish in a small pond as a pitcher, baseball player. And so I had dreams of being a major league ball player, but I was, like 5'6", and threw a fastball at about 70 miles an hour. But my claim to fame was I was the starting and losing pitcher for the All-Star team 2 years in a row when I was 15 and 16. And then I started having elbow problems. and went to the doctor, and they said I had fractured a growth center in my right arm from trying to throw curveballs at too young of an age. And my mom and I are sitting there in the doctor's office, and my mom says, well, what should he do now? Baseball's kind of his thing. And he goes, Alan, why don't you play guitar? Boom! I wish I knew that guy's name. It's a shame that I don't. It's really a shame, because and my mom would say years later, she's come to made her peace with this many times over, but in the beginning there was some issues when my life changed there. And she said, your life took a 180-degree change when you started playing music. And because like a lot of guys or a lot of kids, men and women, girls and boys, picked up guitar, and instantly sports was out the window. It was nothing but playing guitar 24/7, and badly for the first 23/7. And I would be we had a detached garage separate from the house, and in Alaska it would be 50, 60, almost 70 below often in the winter. I would go out into the garage. I had a little tiny Sears amp and my Strat, and practice. I remember Jimmy, every musician's had these, but I remember just trying to make noise and play along with these records. And it was Ted Nugent, Double Live Gonzo of all things.
Oh, I love it.
At some point, in Stranglehold, just similar to the end of Stairway to Heaven or the end of Kiss's Black Diamond. Those are those big unison bends. And just accidentally doing that one time went, that was just that moment, if I could do this, even at a level right now, but you have those moments that kind of inspire you and give you some faith that you can advance on the instrument and eventually get to where you want to be.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely.
Funny things like that.
Well, what is, so, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people on here that probably know you pretty well, but what is something?
I owe them all money, so.
Yeah. we'll keep those comments out of the lower third.
Yeah, I'm filtering for you.
I love it.
But what is something that is interesting about you that most people wouldn't know?
I have 7 fingers. No. I better get my wife to answer this. I don't know anything interesting about me. Other than being from Alaska, I think that's kind of unique.
That is.
And,
other than being, you nail Tommy Shaw.
Oh yeah, well,
you nail him.
Oh,
I was blown away. It was amazing.
Thank you. And there's something I try to be very cognizant of making this impression with people when, because it's flattering when people will compliment you after a show or whatnot. And I always say that I make a point of saying that there's a difference between the imitation, the creation and the imitation.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote these things, and Jim, as we'll talk about tribute bands in more detail soon, but it's hard to have an ego about being good at acting like someone else or doing, and I always try to make it clear too that I'm not trying to be Tommy Shaw. Although so many people have accused me of that, and it's whatever. Even though we have the same birthday, that's kind of a unique thing. We actually have the same exact birthday. 9/11. But I just try to do these songs with the most respect because they're important songs to me. I mean, they're the reason I have this gig. If I didn't like Tommy Shaw or like those songs, why would I be here?
That's true.
He's a hell of a singer. So, I always say too, he's a better singer than I am. He can sing higher. It's some of those things that he's hitting pretty easily. I'm like, dude, you're killing me.
But you're doing it.
Yeah, you are doing it.
Yeah, you're doing it.
That's an incredible job at it.
Yeah.
Too.
I remember. Thank you. I mean, the first when we first started doing Crystal Ball, which Dennis didn't have us doing in the beginning because he felt like that was like the signature Tommy song. Let's stay away from that until you kind of proven yourself here. And I remember having to. I told him I really want to do it, and he said, "Well, I want you to record yourself playing and singing on an acoustic guitar in your house and send it to me." I'm like, "Really?" So I'm in Kennedy's room one day. Their kids are at school. I'm like, in there playing, and he goes, "Okay, I think we could do this." So, and that was one of the big thrills. Was the first time we ever played that song live was in Montreal at the Place des Arts Theater, and I got a standing ovation. And see, I was get choked up by that kind of thing. But in that song, and Jim, you relate to this. All singers, you have the guy on this shoulder, the guy on this shoulder, and there's a high B note at one point. It's the money note of the song, gotta know. But I used to think I'm never going to get there, and you're like two lines ahead. Your brain is already going, here comes, you're going to mess it up. And when you finally get to where you're just nailing that and you feel comfortable, and it's a great feeling. It's gives you a lot of I don't know, encouragement to keep going, or it's a good feeling, and you get a reaction. It's like when go around to the Boston stuff, when any of the fantastic singers I worked with there, everyone knows those giant notes are coming up on More Than a Feeling, and they're like, this guy's never going to hit it. And when they do, people lose their mind. It's fun. I think I lost you. I don't hear you anymore, guys. Something I can do?
Okay.
Here we are.
Here you are. You're like, that guy's going to talk all night. Just
No. What was the very first band you were in, August? Do you recall that?
Yes,
You were
because
five, right? You were five.
I was in high school, and we were called Crystal Illusion, which later became very similar to Grand Illusion, right?
That's right.
But, and we played the teen club across the street from the high school, and then I ended up playing gigs with. I was in a band with some of the GIs. So I grew up I went to school on an Air Force base, and I was always playing with guys who were 5-6 years older than me. And I learned so much from the experience. One of the guys I played with had been a music major, and he played bass, he sang, he played flute, he played saxophone. And I was just this guy playing guitar for like a year, and they let me play with them, and they were very kind about things. I remember we played like Hotel California and those big arpeggios at the end, and I would just be, I didn't know the music. I'm playing shapes on guitar at that point, right? I was like, duh. And he just minor, major. I'm like, I don't know what difference.
That's great. Oh, that's hilarious.
Didn't deter me though.
Yeah.
So you and I saw August. What year?
What do you recall what year that was?
What year did we go
that
see
must
you?
have been like 2017.
I feel like it was before that.
With Pat Benatar?
Yeah.
It's funny. I was scrolling through pictures. I tried to send you some pictures of like 2 minutes before we went on. I saw that one come up. I have I think it was. Stop talking. I think it was 2015, maybe.
I thought it was.
Man, when you guys get back out there, we got to go and see you.
Oh yeah, I love it. I'll be singing. I'll be the one singing loudly from the audience.
Well,
I'm counting to film all my parts.
I'll help you.
So for everybody out there, they don't know this, but you and I have probably known each other for
20 years.
Probably close to 20 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it could be closer to 25 because, oh my God, we're getting old. Is Dave Grummer still out there? Because I think, and Ron Henderson, I think the first version that we had of Grand Illusion, and by the way, I have a recording too. I actually, recently, the singer who was in the band, I'd already forgotten some of this. He sent me, I have a Dropbox link now to the very first Grand Illusion show. And you know who introduces us that night at the Bourbon Square?
Who's that?
Welcome to the stage, Grand Illusion. Swan.
Are you kidding?
Oh my God.
So cool.
That is hilarious.
And any of you who don't know, of course, we're talking amongst ourselves here. Swan is the singer for Led Zeppelin, who Jim works with. Yes. Fantastic singer.
Yes. Yeah.
Great band.
Yeah. I mean, well, and you and I have had the opportunity to play together on a couple occasions. I know we played together with the Long Run.
Yes.
Shows maybe.
And we did a Journey gig together one time, right?
Right.
How about that?
That was Escape, wasn't it?
Yes. Oh, and that's the thing too. It's fun, and we all say this. The tribute scene is so incestuous, and you're just trading members all the time. And hey, can you fill in here? Can you fill in there? And
right.
One of the stories I wanted to tell too. I have my little notes over here. Sorry, but cheating.
Yeah, do it.
But I've been in and out of. We'll get the timeline correct later, but kind of jumping ahead. At one point, Scott Richards, a great bass player friend of ours, he and I had subbed for Escape at a show, like a festival show or something in Tahunga.
Yeah.
And then finished, loaded the stuff in his van, drove across town to Paladinos, where Grand Illusion opened for smoking. So we both did 3 bills that night, or three bands. The trifecta of the tribute trifecta in one night.
That's crazy.
And I think we made $73 to split.
You buy yourself dinner that night.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's see. What other types of musical projects were you in prior to being in tributes? I know you talked about the one group that you were hoping to come and get a record deal with, but that didn't pan out, obviously.
I'd been in, my standard line here is that I was in a number of completely faceless, nameless bands that never went anywhere. And about 93, I think it was, I decided that I was going to kind of focus more on my day job and a family, and kind of put music on the back burner. I remember Dave Grummer at that time was like, are we breaking? No, wait a minute. We weren't working together yet. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So kids weren't involved yet, but, and that's when, that's how this whole tribute thing started. Is I still wanted to play, but I feel like there was the chances of me being an original project that was going to have any success seemed to be very small at that point. Not that they were ever great, as you know, but regardless of any talent you might have for anything. But I remember the Recycler, classified ads. The Recycler. Is he no, actually, I think it was probably Music Connection. But I remember looking through the WAW ads, and there was a Journey tribute band. Looking for a guitar player. I'm like, that could be cool. I was always a big Journey fan, right? Yeah. So, and it said, send a cassette to this address. Like a cassette tape, right? Yeah. Play yourself playing the solo to Stone in Love. Like, all right, can you sing something? So I sent them this cassette, and they called me back and like, well, we want to hear you play over the phone now. I'm like, because we don't know that was really you. That was like Dennis much later, had no distrust of technology. Like, so, okay, put the record on, or the cassette, whatever, and play along with it live over the phone now. Like, oh, okay, we did that. Like they seemed to like it, and then like, okay, we'll talk to you soon. And then like 2 days later, the drummer called me back, and he's like, and they were always telling me there's some famous singer. We can't even tell you his name, but he's the guy that's behind all this. That's why it's going to be big, And then they said, he's not interested anymore. Thanks for your interest. Have a great day. Bye bye. Like, oh well. But the takeaway from that for me was, my first thought was, if you've got a guy that can sing as good as Steve Perry, or maybe even thinks he can, which why aren't you doing it? That was the first thought I had, and then it made me think to myself, well, if I think I'm going to have to play some of these roles too. But that, what I'm trying to get at there is that it kind of made the distinction for me right away that there was never going to be any room for ego in this thing, because you're just pretending to be somebody else at a basic level. Yeah. And so even if, wow, that guy can sing just like Steve Perry. Okay. Good for him. I mean, but we got Steve Perry already, Yeah,
that's right.
But then, you look into your crystal ball 20 years later, and you realize that all these tribute bands were kind of like the farm club for all these classic rock bands. Yeah. And I'm talking in circles. Sorry. I didn't realize this is the Italian in me coming out, but
no. Hey, it's all interesting, man.
Okay. So then the next issue of Music Connection comes out, and I'd been aware somehow that there was this band Sheer Heart Attack. Do you remember them?
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
Totally.
They were either the first or second tribute band in LA. It's either them or the Atomic Punks. They were the first two bands. Yeah. And that was Zukowski, right?
Yes,
absolutely. The guy you played with for many years. Yeah. And I was aware of them, and I guess the Atomic Punks as well. And then I saw an ad, putting together a Styx tribute band. And I thought, that might be fun, because in my earliest bands in high school, I would sing some of that stuff. So that it wasn't like I never still don't really, so most of the time consider myself to be a singer, but well, I kind of have a similar voice to that guy on that, Too Much Time in My Hands. Like I could sing that. So, and I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, so I thought, okay, I'll try out for this Styx tribute band, might be fun. Who knows? And that was had to be 1995, mid 1995, because our first gig was October of 95.
So, when did tribute really kind of take the stage? I mean,
Well,
when did tributes? Because I don't
become prominent. You
yeah,
mean?
yeah. What year do you feel
That's hard to say.
tributes
I mean,
really kind of became?
Wouldn't you say Beatle groups first?
Sorry?
Wouldn't you think it was the Beatle tributes first?
Oh, good point. Yeah, for on a national level, certainly the Beatlemania stuff.
Beatlemania. I was
Fab
gonna-
Four, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But
Smokin', we saw Smokin'.
Well, yeah,
I mean that
I
was
mean-
Smokin' and what was the other one with Juan?
that was
DSP?
Lights. Those were my
It's-
Oh,
first.
Lights, right.
Yes, Lights.
You know what's funny, August? I don't think you realize this, but one of the first tributes I was in was in a Journey tribute called Infinity,
And I was
which you
over
played
the
in
top
later.
thrilled.
With Rick Snyder
Rick
August,
Snyder, right?
and Dave Coyle.
thrilled.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love Journey. I love Journey. And then Jim
Who doesn't?
he got in this band and he was in it, and I was thrilled over the top because I love Journey.
And
And then he said, I feel like I'm gonna have to be in a Led Zeppelin band. And I'm like,
well,
really?
no, I didn't say that. Swan gave me the call. So what happened was Swan called me and asked if I'd be interested in playing with him. So I played a few shows with him.
And he actually came to me and said, I'm gonna have to. I feel like
Well, I didn't know. I didn't say
Yeah.
that. Dave Coyle came to the show, and
Dave Coyle. Yeah.
and he said, you know what? He says, I know that you joined our group first, but this is an opportunity here that you're going to be able to possibly go national, even international with Zepp again. So he says.
So I have to tell you, I was super conflicted because I love Journey. It was a hard decision. He was
It
like,
was.
I'm gonna have to join this Led Zeppelin band. I'm like, but I love Journey.
And then he said, do you know of any bass players that could possibly do the gig? I said, yeah, Scott Richards. So I guess Dave contacted him, and then you subsequently replaced Dave Coyle.
Dave,
Is that
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is Dave Coyle around still? Is
He's playing in the World Classic Rockers. I
World
think.
Classic Rockers. And
he's still
I can't
playing?
believe I've not laid eyes on that guy or talked to him in 15 years. And I had some friends who worked with him at some point, but we never were able to connect.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
guy, an amazing player.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Good
He
player.
was really, really good. Really good.
So anyway, I'm still waiting for Jim to join another Journey tribute.
I've got some free time right now.
There you go. Yeah, no, I would
But
love
I am grateful
to
for
do
Led
that.
Zepp again. They've been amazing in my
Oh,
life.
man.
So.
Yeah,
Oh my God, yeah, you've had an amazing
Been
run.
talented with a
Yes.
Swan Montgomery.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's
amazing.
it's been an incredible run with Zepp again. So I can't say that I regret anything, as far as leaving the Journey group, but I still love Journey. I mean, man, that's one of my all-time favorite groups.
Yeah.
Great material.
Oh,
Great
is
material. Yeah.
So August, talk to me about 2020. What happened with you and the band and Dennis?
I want to go way back. I want to go way back for a minute still.
Oh, wait, we
we
still have to-
Yeah.
All
right.
We need to talk more about the tribute.
All right, we're going to talk about tribute.
Yeah,
So-
and just
so
specifically in that, it was actually Grand Illusion came first. So we had
they were
Grand
before
Illusion together.
Smokin'?
Yeah,
Grand
Yeah.
Illusion,
I did
yeah.
not know
Yeah.
that.
yeah. So we had done because we'd done gigs for maybe I don't know a better part of a year, probably at least. And then Dave Grummer, who I don't know if
Okay.
he's out there or not.
Dave
Dave,
joined us here.
Yeah. Yeah.
great multi-instrumentalist,
Dave is out here.
vocalist, great guy.
Yeah.
And he told me one day, he said, I'm loving doing the Styx stuff, but I'm looking for something with I want to do something, stretch out and do some more high energy and maybe more harmony guitar stuff. And I'm like, what are you thinking about? He goes, well, and I'm not sure if this actually happened or if I tend to misremember things, but I remember thinking that, I think he said that oh no, I did misremember this. Anyway, he said, I want to do a Boston tribute. And I'm like, love Boston, probably my favorite band. Like, good luck
I
finding a
love
singer.
Boston.
2 days later, he goes, I got a guy. I'm like, what? And we had this guy, Todd McDowell, who is just ridiculous talent. And he was only with us for a short time, but I fondly remember those days. You could walk, go up to his apartment anytime they opened the door. He would answer the door with like, he'd be wearing like white overalls and had a 12-string in his hand, just always singing and playing, and just had tremendous energy, a great front man. But he could sing all that stuff. And we had
I never met him, August.
Well, he was only here for a couple of months, and then there were some sketchy circumstances that he had to leave town in a hurry for, I think, and we never got the full story.
Wow.
And then we went to another guy, and then finally the third guy we got was Mark Magditch, who you know.
Oh yeah, he was incredible.
So we
just
have
an amazing musician.
Yes.
And Mark was the guy that played the 12-string, could play any stringed instrument, played pretty much any instrument, and was an engineer. He was a total gearhead, and phenomenal vocalist. And having him on board allowed us to have the 12-string guitar behind the harmony guitars, and that was just we always refer to the guys in the band, it was really a band of brothers. And we did some touring, not really touring. We would do some fly dates, and we played in Florida. We played, Jim Mazdia, the original drummer from Boston, hired us to do some gigs out there, and he sat in with us. And just some great memories from that music. But where I was going with that, other than that, was that came second. And at some point, and so I remember telling my little brother, I was like, yeah, we're going to do another tribute band with it's with a lot of harmony guitars, and the singer's initials are BD. And he's like, Maiden? Bruce Dickinson? I'm like, well, close. I would have done that too.
Yeah, I know. That would have been awesome for you.
And then, like we said, the incestuous tributes were, I subbed for Dave Coyle and took over his gig. And then there was Jay Gore, who sent a lot of the Journey stuff. And then he was always a rock guy that then found himself, he kind of did his pivot into the smooth jazz world. And he's played for Michael McDonald, David Sanborn, done really well. He's a rocker at heart, but he and I were going back and forth, subbing for each other in these bands for a while. And then someone else you mentioned too, I've already forgotten. I got to get my head together. But there's been so many of these bands, but and then I remember, and a lot of these, especially going back to, the guy thinks he can sing like Steve Perry. Most of them couldn't. And
you're right.
You get, and that's kind of back to what Brenda was saying. When did it kind of peak? At one point, probably maybe early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Any band that ever had a single, there was 3 tribute bands for them, and it just got to be so crowded and it was ridiculous. It'd be like 7 different, some of the bands deserve. There was several Working Eagles tributes. There's a couple of Van Halen tributes. There's all these Beatles shows. But I can't think of a band right now I don't want to make fun of a particular artist, but any band in the 80s that had, one album, there was 2 tribute bands for them. And it's and then going back to Boston, one thing a lot of people don't realize, all those classic albums from the 70s, or the majority of them, the first album that everybody knows, the first Boston record, it's 36 minutes long. And Don't Look Back, I think, is 37 minutes. If you played every note on those 2 records, it's 73 minutes long. You can't even play a 75-minute set. It's like you keep talking in between and fill it up. But it's a lot of material. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm talking in circles again.
That I know, that's true. That was probably the most challenging thing about being in a Boston tribute, is that you didn't have quite enough material to cover like a 2-hour show if you needed to, right?
Really?
Yeah. No.
Wow,
no.
that's okay.
No, they didn't.
Wow.
Like you said, the first 2 albums just made up over an hour.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
But by the way, August, before we go further, Dave Grimmer wanted to know when did you attend MI? What years did you attend MI?
I can't make that publicly known, or people know how old I am. It was 1972.
Are you serious?
Did you say, are you serious?
That is all right. That's all right.
I was there in.
That's Musicians Institute.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's originally. So I was in Dallas for a couple of years. I moved back to Alaska with the intention of going to GIT, but I messed around, got lost, kind of thing, and didn't say. Here's the thing: if you go back to Alaska and you don't save enough money in the summer, you got to pay the penalty of staying through the winter. So I had I suffered that fate. I had to plan on going the next year. So I left home on my birthday when I was 25. This is getting through the math. in 1988. And the only birthday card I got from the lower 48 that arrived on time was from Michelle. And pretty cool. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I left, took, drove down here, took the ferry to Seattle, drove down, and had a friend who was living here that I'd been in a band with in Alaska, and came down and went to GIT. It's a year program. I had saved up money to come down, and I was very fortunate in that I did not have to work that year. So I was, I was at school sometimes minimum 8 hours a day, sometimes 14 hours, or it's like, because sometimes, we had a very small apartment and there'd be people coming in and out of it. So that kind of thing. And so I just go hang out at school, and I could play guitar all day long and meet all kinds of people, other instrumentalists. They had all the technology is very different then. There was no internet but they had these video catalogs. You could check out lessons from anybody, and it was just an amazing experience for me. Yeah. But I did the 1 year course, and then I thought, I'll probably either move to San Diego or Phoenix or Dallas. Those are my 3 planned moves. And then here I am 30 years later, and back to my friend Mark Blythe, who was the best man, and he's the one that got me out of that situation in Dallas. His dad was working for America West at the time, and he said, "Hey, I'll fly out for your graduation, and then we get buddy pass. You fly back out to Phoenix with me. We'll hang out for a couple of days, and we'll go back to Dallas, and they're old friends." And that's when I reconnected with Michelle. And so it's all a beautiful story there again. And that's beautiful in my mind. When I tell it, I might lose the effect, but
well, Eileen wants to know, how did you initially meet Michelle?
We had, if she's not in the room, so I know she's listening from the other room, but
yes.
I was playing in her, I was in a hair band, and she had seen another band that we were similar to, that they were much better than we were. But I remember her saying when she walked in and saw this band, they were called Sweet Savage, an amazing band from Dallas that should have been big. I'll go and tell the story now. So there's a point, they came out to LA at one point, and the singer's name is Joey C. Jones. And there was whatever the Rock City News, I think it was at the time, there's a famous cover shot. It's he's in the middle, and on either side of him are Bret Michaels and Janie Lane, who of course went on to great success. And he was at least their equal, a better songwriter probably, and probably a better singer. But things don't always go as planned.
Yeah.
So
what's that?
I'm trying to avoid the question.
Blushing, so adorable. So Grace says we need to hear Michelle's version.
Okay, so when we have August on the second time, we're going to have both of them on.
Yeah.
Am I always in a cast?
Yeah.
Well, so I didn't realize then Grand Illusion and Smokin', you guys were gigging simultaneously.
I went current for a while.
Wow.
Okay, so what I thought was, I thought Smokin' started first, and then when Mark had to move, I thought you guys had started Grand Illusion, because you figured, well, we can sing the Styx stuff ourselves. We don't need a lead singer to do Boston. We'll just do the Styx stuff ourselves. But that's not the case.
Not the case. No.
Not the case, right?
Wow,
and that was the fun thing about doing when we play shows together. Both bands. It was always more impactful to have Styx, the Grand Illusion show, Styx tribute open, because you have these guys, and we were a good band, and then all of a sudden you have the same guys on stage, and another guy walks out, and it was a whole new, now you've got a lead singer. Everyone wasn't stuck behind instruments, although Mark did again play guitar and a lot of things, 12-string, but you bring a front person out there, and someone could sing like Mark, and it just took the energy up a whole other level.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember when we played with you guys at the Hop, Led Zeppelin and Smokin'.
The Hop.
First time I'd ever seen the band, and I was floored. We left that night. I was telling her, who are
loudly.
These guys? That was incredible.
I might have oversaying somebody. I'm not.
That's how you know it's a good show. Your shoulders raw on the way home and your ears are ringing.
Okay. So now here's what everybody's been waiting for. how did the Grand Illusion situation? Well, wait. Okay, so wait. Before we start this, let us show everybody a clip of you with Grand Illusion.
All right. This is what.
Okay.
This is what Dennis DeYoung saw.
Yes. This.
All right.
Or we. It
well,
must have been one.
I feel
of
like
them,
you might
so.
have saw.
Yeah.
I'll tell the story after.
Yes. Okay.
All right. We're gonna play this. All right. So we're freezing. So
Here's the funny thing. So
hold on, we're
can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you. We're here. We're here.
I'm not sure what you saw. I saw the video played twice and then it jumped around to another song and then it quit and went back to the.
We figured it was so good we wanted.
It's so good because it was the Dave Grummer episode. It's funny. I'm glad that's not the video that Dennis saw. Otherwise, I would have got hired for just walking up and going like this and singing one line. That's when I had dark hair too. But
well, there was a part of you doing too much time on my hands, which is what we were hoping to.
Well, I'll tell you this. Those are all what you just saw. Those are part of a video. I think that was part of the demo that we had. But the actual videos, I'll just tell the story if that's okay. It's like because the actual videos that Dennis saw, and actually they were seen by his son Matt first. Matt is the one who gets the credit for just discovering me. We had done the very last or one of the very last shows that we played was in 2004 at the Apollo Casino. And somebody in the band's wife, girlfriend had a camcorder set up by the sound booth. And the video is distant, but the audio is really good. And I end up with these tapes, and as I've told you, I'm an early adopter of technology, right? So 6 years later, I'm like, hey, this YouTube thing is kind of cool. People are putting videos up. And so I bought some hardware that could convert the the VHS to whatever it was at the time they uploaded these as. But I put, I think, 6 or 8 songs up on YouTube, and because the band really sounded good, great guys, great players, and it was a lot of fun. Of course, the material is pretty good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So 2 days after I uploaded them, I got a call from Danny Wilde from the Rembrandts, and he was going to be involved in doing music for some kind of a show that was going to had Styx. It needed to have Styx music or Styx type of music. Yeah. And we talked for a little while, and we had one mutual friend, but kind of facilitated that, but it never went anywhere. I'm like, well, that was still kind of cool to get, that was only because you saw him on YouTube. So this is kind of neat. And then 2 months later, I got a call from Dennis's manager, and he said, these videos have come to our attention, and he just wanted to feel things out with me. We talked on, it was December 22nd. And one of the things they liked about scouting me, they were stalking my Facebook page, and my profile picture was, my 2 girls in front of the Christmas tree with, fake guitars. And they thought, this guy looks like he's a, family guy. It's like this, this is all good. And I'm sure this happened to you or a lot of people who are musicians out there. You start lying about your age at the age of like 22 because you're too old. I remember one time when I was 30, and that was the last original band I was in, and we were loading our stuff into some club in Orange County, and they're carting everybody, and the guy looks at me and goes, "This is a young man's game. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Thanks, buddy." But at that point, I'm like, "Yeah, I want a fake ID that says I'm young." But anyway, so we talked for a long time on the phone, and it was a good conversation. It was about 45 minutes, and at the end, I'm like, "Well, what next?" He said, "Well, I'll talk to Dennis next, and if he's interested, you'll hear from him." I'm like, "Okay." It was fun. And the next morning, a lot of you guys that might be watching have heard me tell this story before, so I'll try to stick to the script. But the next morning I was doing something at home, and my daughter Kennedy comes in with a phone. Back when we had record those phones. She's like, "Dennis, somebody on the phone?" I'm like, "What?" Kind of like, "August, this is Dennis DeYoung." And I was like, "No fucking way!" I'm sorry. That was my reaction. And he's like, "Settle down." But we talked for like, again, 45 minutes, and he kept saying that, I've seen these videos, and he's got that song, Turn Off CNN, and he's very, roboto. The problem is plain to see, too much technology. He has a distrust, or at least the sense that it can get away from us. And he said, "I've seen these videos," and I saw Michelle's comment go by. That's the shirtless footage. It's also the gig. Dave Grummer may remember this, that I grabbed the wrong case, so I didn't have an acoustic guitar with me, and so I had to play like Man in the Wilderness on a clean electric. But
oh wow! Wow.
Because I saw these videos, and he said, I see you're a good guitar player, you're a good performer, and you've got a good voice. He said, what I want to see is if that's really you. He said, so basically, I want he goes, I'm thinking about making some changes with my band. He said, I'm realizing that there's Bill Kurds out there. And he said that, I realized that the show he'd been doing was all his music, solo stuff, and his Styx material. And he said that, Styx is doing a lot. They're omitting a lot of songs of his that they wouldn't do, whatever the case may be. And he said, I want to give them the whole show. So I need a guy that can do the Tommy stuff. And I think you might be the guy. He said, so I'm going to fly you out here, and we're going to sit down together. And if we can make that sound, then you got the gig. And this was, again, December 23rd now. And he said, now I want to move pretty quickly on this. He said, what's your schedule like? And I'm like, it's 2 days from Christmas, dude. And you know, he said, I know Christmas is coming. Don't worry about that. And he said, what about New Year's? I said, well, I've got a family trip with some other family friends. We're going to Big Bear. We can do every year. And he goes, well, when do you get back from that? I said, on the 2nd. He said, so you can be here on the 3rd? I'm like, okay. You know, I'm just thinking, anything you say, boss. But, and interesting backstory note here is that, so that was 2004, those videos were from. That's the only band I've ever been the lead singer in, or one of the lead singers in. Was Grand Illusion. Or some of the cover bands I'd done, we'd sing a couple of songs like everybody does.
Yeah.
But I hadn't sang lead in 6 years. So I'm running around the house. I mean, Styx music is on 24/7, and all I'm doing is singing, playing guitar, trying to sing and play guitar, because that's a challenge too. And trying to get my chops up really quickly and also not burn out while in the process, right?
Yeah.
And so all I can think about is this possibility of what could happen, right? And this, you know, sometime after the Arnell thing, so that was in my mind, and the movie Rockstar, where, you know, this is a remote possibility, and now it's been given to me or presented to me as an option. This could happen, so it's freaking me out a little bit, right? But so I learned. I knew all the songs already, right? That's one of the benefits. And so I prepped them as best I could and flew to Chicago. And it's January 3rd. So, of course, it's the dead of winter in Chicago, which is not known for its, you know, light winters. But, I just got a nice text from somebody. Thank you, John Mullane. But now I lost my whole thing. But so I'm at the hotel, and it's 5 minutes from Dennis's house. And, you know, I'm the Marriott, and I'm reading like the little brochure. It's like, you know, Burr Ridge is one of the 5 wealthiest communities in the country. I'm like, well, okay, that makes sense, right? And I'm nervous as heck. You know, and plus there's 2 hours time differences going against me. So I flew in the day before. You know, I'm trying to sleep that night. I'm nervous, and, you know, tune my guitar and, you know, la, 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 all this, and thinking what could go wrong. And then so the next morning he goes, I'll pick you up at 10:30, or I'll pick you up at 10 o'clock. So I'm sitting downstairs in the lobby. I'm on time for once. I'm sitting there with my, you know, my little gig bag with my guitar, and this Mercedes pulls up outside and just parks there. I'm figuring, well, maybe this is him, right? And trunk opens up, window comes down halfway. He's like, so I'm, we're bouncing out there, put my guitar in the trunk. I'll, you know, open the door. I'm like, hey, good morning. He's like, we'll see about that. He's got such a sarcastic sense of humor, and he's incredibly intelligent. So there's a lot of times this combination comes off as being arrogant, and that he's got a bad rap for that. And there's all, you know, you have to, for those of you that have seen, you know, the behind the music debacle, and you got to realize all those realities, they're all scripted. I mean, they're all produced. They're arranged to be a certain way. Sure. And not always truthful. But he's portrayed as being an egomaniac and, you know, very over the top. He's a very funny guy. He's very sarcastic. He's very smart. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because I work for him. You know, I want to stay working for him. But so 5-minute drive to his house. We're just kind of chit-chatting. And, you know, he lives in a gated community. You walk in, there's a beautiful house, and, like, you know, I'm wide-eyed. So we go up, and we're sitting in the kitchen for a minute, and we're just kind of talking. You want anything? You know, just, no, I'm good. You know, I think we got a coffee or something. We go downstairs. We're walking down the basement. He's got a giant basement studio, and along the way, there's several movie posters, and they're completely random. It looks like to me. I'm thinking, this guy's got an eclectic taste, right? And I think he caught my eye, or as we're kind of setting up stuff downstairs, he's like, I want you to know those aren't my favorite movies or anything. Those are just films that my music has been used in. Like, aha. That explains the big daddy poster there too. You know, he and Adam Sandler are friends, and Adam's been good about pushing Styx music. More on that later. But so we're in the basement studio, and he's got a white baby grand, and put your guitar down. And I kind of like standing next to him, and he goes, sit on the bench with me. So we're sitting at this baby grand, and he's just kind of looking at me, you know, and he's like, okay. And he just starts playing the intro to Lady, which everybody knows. I won't try to butcher by singing it. But my initial thought, I swear to God, he hits the keys. I'm like, sounds just like the record. people talk about guitar players, the tone is in your fingers, or bass players too, of course. But it's like when he hit those keys, it just sounded exactly right, And it's 10 o'clock in the morning, a little after 10:15 maybe, and he just opens them, lady, and it just sounds just like it's supposed to.
Wow.
And I'm going, oh my God, this is happening.
Oh man.
And so it gets to that part, there's the B flat A before it goes into the chorus. And he looks at me, are you ready? And I'm like, yeah. Lady! He's like, what? you want to try that again for me? I was like, holy shit. It's everything in the world is like spinning in my head. But primarily the fact that it's 10:15 in the morning, which is 8:15 our time, right? Nobody sings except Dennis DeYoung before noon, right?
Right.
Like, oh my God, and it's high. I'm singing the D, right? This was the same thing Tommy did when he aced his audition. It was the D. Can you sing the D, and lady, you're in. And so we'd do it again. Let's try it again. And the second time was not much better. And I'm just feeling like, oh crap. And I had to, he gets up from the keyboard, and I'm thinking, I just really have effed this up, right? And pretty soon he puts his hands on my shoulders from behind me, and he goes, look, I know that you don't see me the way I see me. Because you can do this. I know you're nervous right now. Tell you what, let's go back upstairs. Let's get something to eat. Come on. And I think in his head, he's thinking, what have I got myself into here with this kid? He can't even sing. And so, and he always calls me a kid, by the way. It's cute. But so we go back upstairs. I've had a little something, a piece of toast or something. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, what have I got myself into? And how quickly does he give me the boot here, right? But we kind of relaxed for a minute, like he said. Excuse me. And so let's go back downstairs. So we sit down, and same thing again. He's playing. I'm thinking this sounds great. And I just bust a note out and it sounds good, right? And he's like, let's do that again. We did it again and it sounded good. And I'm thinking, I couldn't believe it, right? It's like, you know what you're capable of doing. But then when it's a situation like that, I'm thinking, it's like stand and deliver. It's like, can you do this? And I've never been an overconfident person, so it's like, okay, that worked. And then I can't remember exactly what we did next, but we did a couple other pieces and I'm singing and it's going really well. And he's smiling. We're having a good time. He's kind of get this going on. And I said, you know what, you want me to get my guitar out? And he's like, nah, don't worry about it. Let's just sing. Let's sing. It's all about the singing. It's all about the vocals, August. And then we're having fun. And all of a sudden, Suzanne, his wife, pops down the stairs. She's like, hey, Tim's on the phone, the manager. And turned out that, so the same day, Craig Carter, our bass player, he was supposed to audition the same day. So there was a miscommunication, as it happens. Craig's sitting at the airport, Midway Airport, just going, well, this is great. And because there was nobody to meet him or pick him up. So they sent a car for him, and Dennis and I are just kind of having fun at this point. We're playing lots of different Styx songs, and he's digging it. And in fact, I remember when we did, he's like, too much time. And I'm feeling like myself. I'm getting comfortable. Of course, I know all the songs, what they're going to do, right? Yeah. And again, the tribute background and being a fan. Right. And so that's the thing too, in these situations where these songs, for people of our vintage, they're in our DNA. If it could be a Boston Journey, Styx, Kansas Foreigner, any of those songs, you hand me a guitar, I could play along with it pretty quickly as you could with bass, because the arrangement, and that's the biggest thing. You pretty much can figure out the chords or the melody, singing whatever the words, and pretty quickly. But if you don't know the song, then it's hard to actually learn that and internalize it. But when you're so used to hearing it and performing it, it becomes second nature. So but we're doing Too Much Time, and he's like, I forget who was down there. It was either Tim, it was there, or Matt or Suzanne. But he's like, it sounds pretty good, right? He goes, now it's going to sound like Styx. Of course, when he harmonizes with me, boom, there it is. And that I will say to this day, and I won't say a bad word about Styx. They're a great band still, and they sound good when they perform. Here's the thing: 3 guys or 4 guys, whoever might go to the mic, they're all hitting. Here's their D triad. You've got D, F sharp, and A, and they're hitting this beautiful chord. It sounds lovely. Does it sound like Styx? I will say no. And I will say that the reason for that, and the reason when we do it, it does sound like Styx, is that Dennis's voice is so unique and recognizable. That was the largest component of their vocal sound.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you get any three, and as you know, and that's back to when he said, if we can make that sound together, because you don't always have two singers that might sound great on their own, they might not blend.
Yeah.
You know, some guys don't do that well.
Right.
And so that's my pitch for him. But yeah, going back to so when Craig shows up, Craig is not a rock guy. His background was, you know, gospel, R&B kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
He had the 3 audition songs, which I believe were Lady, Blue Collar, and Renegade. Because it was going to be the Lady that, and then 2 songs I sang. And so Craig's got those, and he's a real sweet guy. He's from the South. His speaking voice is about this high. So before we get to this, so he comes in, we're sitting at the same table that I'd sat in earlier upstairs. And now Dennis is at the head of the table. Of course, I'm sitting like right to his right, literally like his right-hand man. And Craig's at the other end of the table. I'm going, come on, new guy, what do you got? I got seniority on you. And but we're starting to walk down the stairs together, and he's like, hey, bro, you want me to take the DeYoung Lady? And I'm like, oh my God, I love you.
So he ended up speaking that?
Wow.
Craig can hit those notes. They don't even sound high when he sings them. It's like you, Jim. So you have this high range where it's like, I have to push to hit that. It just comes right out. And you know, there's different tone involved when that happens. So sometimes if you have to push, it's got more urgency, more meat on it. But that made it instantly a thing for me where I can hit I can live. A lot of those songs are in D. So you've got Dennis is singing D. I'm on F sharp, and Craig's on A, or F sharp A D, as it were, usually. And so when I'm in the middle, and Craig is a pure voice, it's pitch perfect. When I'm in the middle of those two guys, I feel like I can do no wrong. And I've got that kind of the color note of the harmony a lot of times, but it's now I'm singing an A note instead of a D. It's right in my money range. So it's like everybody's singing to their strength. So it's like, man, and we do sound check all the time. And I joke about, you know, we've broken people's necks when we just walk up there. We're kind of a line check. We're ready, 1, 2, 3, later. We sing that, and everybody's like, what the heck was that? Everyone thinks it's on tracks because it's like boom. I'm always very proud of that. But I'm kind of skidding. The timeline's been very fluid here, so I don't know where I've left off or where I'm going now. But end of the day on that was we did a bunch of songs, and then Craig nailed the audition songs. I'm having a good time now, and so Dennis is getting excited. He's calling out other songs. Craig doesn't know any of them, so he's like, you know, he's like this. He's like, oh, pulling up the lyrics on Google. You know, he's like, sing it for me one time, and we do it, and then he would just harmonize it. It sounded great. It was kind of crazy. And just as it was with me, he says, do you want me to get my bass out? And he says, no, anybody can play these songs. It was just kind of funny. It's very offhanded like that. But before long, and it seemed like it happened all of a sudden, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you guys, the time, your car's going to be here in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever. It's really short. And we're like, oh, okay. And I had a quick discussion with Tim about scheduling and whatnot. And Dennis kept saying, well, I'm like, well, what are we doing? What happens next? And he's like, well, I got this thing. I don't know if I really want to do it or not. It's like, and I'm like, well, what is it? Well, it's just this thing, you know, it's, I don't know. And like, well, he goes, when is it? Oh, it's the 17th. I'm like, that's 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, well, I'll let you know. So I remember Craig and I, we got the car service to Midway Airport, and we're standing there at this one spot that we've gone through 100 times now over the years. And we always look at each other. We stop right there and think this is where we were, because we just kind of stood there and went, did we get hired? Did we get the gig? Because no one ever said, you're in. So we're like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And Craig went, he had a different flight than me. So we went our separate, we touched and went our separate ways. And so I remember stopping off, and I got a beer someplace there, and I called Michelle, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not sure what happened. But got home, and that night I had an email from Tim with tickets to fly, because it was 14-day advance. So I had my tickets to, and it's funny because he said, because at this point you had to put everyone's birthdays in for tickets, right? He said, I knew you had the same birthday as Tommy. I just guessed from there. So like, that's kind of funny.
Wow.
But this thing turned out to be a Dennis is a big, born and raised, stayed his whole life in Chicago, big sports guy. And he's really good friends with Tony La Russa. I don't know if you know that name.
Baseball.
He's back now managing somebody. I'm not sure because I'm not much of a fan these days.
Yeah.
I knew that I have baseball cards with him on it when he played for the Twins, I think. But the thing is, he's the only manager to have won a World Series in both leagues. He's got these enormous rings, right? And I saw him when I met him after the show. I'm like, oh my God. But I'm way ahead of myself. So Dennis says, yeah, we're going to do the show. It's going to be an acoustic trio. It's going to be you, me, and Jimmy. I don't know anybody in the band, right?
Yeah.
Back to that too. But so he connects me and Jimmy on email thread between the three of us. We're trying to decide when the band goes out, who's playing what. And most guitar players are very egocentric and very much all of the solos are all me, bro. I'm the guy. I get to play all the cool stuff. And it'd be, who wants to play this? And Jimmy's like, I don't know, you take it. I'm like, nah, you can play it. It's like, no, I don't care. Okay, you play. And Dennis is like, make a damn decision here. I'll tell you what to play. So he assigns everybody's parts. And later it turned out what he told me, again, back to the tribute background, he said, because anything that had to be played note for note, I gave to you. He said, Jimmy's a monster player. And my little blurb about Jimmy, I always tell people that have only seen us with him play with Dennis. I said, if you've only seen him play with me in this thing, you have no idea how great he is. Because the rock stuff, I mean, I don't want to dumb it down too much. Rock playing, it's a thing, it's what I do best. That's part of my skill set. But Jimmy can play jazz, he play flamenco, he play country, he play bluegrass, classical, anything at a master level. And he just does whatever's asked of him and nails it. And never, it's like, well, that's just a guitar player. I'll play it. I'm a guitar player. It's astounding. But
man,
we had a great time deciding who was doing what and all that. But for this acoustic thing, we had, I think, 45 minutes of stuff we're going to do. Dennis on piano and Jimmy and I on acoustic guitar. And we had the set list, of course. And I flew in, and I almost missed my flight. It was in St. Louis, and I had to fly from LAX. It was like a 4:00 flight, and I had to go down the 405, which became one of the banes of my existence over the first couple of years of this band, because I usually fly out on a Friday until I realized I need to fly out on Thursday, or I'm going to miss a flight. And I really got there. I'm running through the terminal with my gig bag on my back and a suitcase, and passenger Zadra, or Zadra in airports. Passenger Zadra, the doors are closing. I'm like, no, and so I made the flight, thank God, and I get to St. Louis. I'm in my hotel. That's cool, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going over songs again. Very much reminiscent of my first time to Chicago, and I'm knowing that I know I'm going to meet with Jimmy the next morning, and we're going to go over the songs for 3 hours.
Yeah,
3 hours together scheduled before we go to the gig. And he calls me at 7:30 in the morning, brother, my flight's 3 hours delayed. I'll see you in the green room. I was like, okay, shit. And so, of course, I couldn't go back to sleep. I'm just nervous as can be. But this is I've told this story a million times too. Forgive me, but I come down to the lobby, for my lobby call to get my ride to the venue, and Jimmy's standing there in the lobby talking to the driver. Jimmy talked to anybody. He's the nicest guy. But as I'm walking up, I recognize him. I think, oh, we're wearing exactly the same pair of boots. We're 6 months apart in age. We're the same height. We have the same flip phone. And we get in the car. We're literally on a 6-block drive to the venue. We're finishing each other's sentences. It's so ridiculous. We're just two peas in the pod from day one and have been fast friends. And just love the guy. But Dennis knows that we haven't had a chance to play yet. So we walk and we're backstage and get our guitars out. He's like this. All right, what do you got? And so we're standing there in front of him and we just started playing, and it was just effortless. You sing this, you sing that. And that's the thing about Jimmy also, is in a utility kind of role. If I've been sick, it's actually not, he's covered Craig's vocals on a lot of shows when Craig's been ill. And sometimes if I'm not feeling great, the chorus comes up, the big, because that's the thing. There's always a big 3-part harmony in the chorus. Sometimes I could lay back and Jimmy would cover me on the harmonies. And he's just that guy. He's so valuable to the team. And I'm going to go back for a step too and talk about in Smokin'. It was always very humbling to me because you had Dave Grummer, who was playing, he's a great guitar player, great songwriter, great guitar player who had stepped over. He was the first keyboard player in Smokin'. It's like, I'll try to do this. And he did a great job learning all those really demanding parts. And then later we got an actual keyboard player. I don't mean that in a demeaning way, Dave, but we got a strict keyboard player. So Dave could focus more on guitars. But, you know, we had Ron Henderson is one of the most musical drummers. Yeah. He's got producer ears. He's always listening to everybody else. And he told me one time, he said, when we first started doing tributes, he said some of his musician friends were giving him a hard time. And he said, look, doesn't matter if you're doing original material. If you're not the songwriter, you're in a cover band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're, you know, but, you know, and Scott Richards on bass, who's got an amazing ear, plays keyboards. He's a very musical guy. All these guys. And then, of course, you get Mark Magditch, who could play anything.
Oh, yeah.
I always feel like, you know, like the least talented guy in the band. I'm not doing that in a fishing for compliments kind of way. It was just very, very humbling and inspiring to be around guys like that. And then,
oh man, all great players, all great players.
You know, John Blasucci, the keyboard player, had played drums in a Rush tribute band.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Yep. You know, Tom Sharp, the original drummer, he's a composer, and he conducted one of the symphony shows one time before I was in the band when the conductor couldn't make his flight. Wow. Conducted the show. These guys are at that level. Jimmy, who I've already bragged about. And by the way, Jimmy's dad was a Grammy-winning jazz guitarist.
Really?
Yeah. And, you know, Craig on bass also plays keyboards. He did a short tour with Kenny Loggins where he played piano and bass and sang all the harmonies. Just these guys, and of course, Dennis, you know, but all these guys who are just so talented, but also great human beings. And it's been lovely in that regard. And skipping around a little bit again, the one disappointment, if you will, in doing this gig with Dennis for the last, I'd say 11 years, but one of them we didn't do anything. Thanks, God.
Yeah, that's right.
We haven't had that many times to go out with other bands where I thought we'd be doing a lot of shows together. But you know, some of the first people I met were, you know, Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. And then you get like Rick Springfield, for example, Mickey Thomas.
Nice.
I'm forgetting some people, but there weren't that many bands that we worked with at first. But every single one of them seemed to have a true appreciation, a genuine feeling that we're lucky to be doing this right now. Yeah. I mean, our big records were 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Those songs meant enough to people that they're going to still pay good money to come out and see us do this.
Yeah.
You know, it's humbling. And I guess my point leading up to that or taking from that is I've not met any asshole rock stars yet. You know, you know, I'm sure everyone's capable of, you know, everyone who was a rock star in the 70s, Dennis is no exception, has their moments of when, you know, they remember how that was and being everything catered to them, you know, but I think overwhelmingly it's been incredibly positive experiences.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you've been on the road with Dennis 10, 11 years, about 10 years.
10 years, and then, you know, COVID.
So is there anything memorable or funny that you can think of that? Nope.
Memorable or funny?
Any blooper kind of situation?
Sorry?
Any bloopers? Any?
You know, Jim knows this too, and every musician out there has had this experience. You might have the best, you might be on fire, whether you're some solo you're playing or some note you're singing, just you're having an effortless night, you're in the zone.
Yeah.
Nobody films that. You know, if you broke 2 strings and you're, you know, I don't know what it could possibly, anything that goes wrong does, that's when the guy's right there and goes right to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But thank God my most embarrassing moment of all time so far on stage happened early on, first year in the band, and we were playing, I think, in Providence or somewhere in Rhode Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, over that way. And my wife and kids are there. We've got friends who had moved there or back there from LA, so we had some people there. And I've been playing in the band just a short time, so it's all new and exciting, and still exciting, by the way. But we used to do the song "Don't Let It End," where originally it was just going to be Jimmy playing acoustic guitar and Dennis singing. And he said, "Why don't you come out halfway through and play a solo?" And originally it was done on electric guitar. And we for the reason I'm about to describe, we switched from that and then ended up, I said, just play piano. So it's keep it acoustic, keep it sounding good, because at this fateful, we've done it a few times and it's kind of fine. But this fateful day, the tech hands me the guitar and we play Don't Let It End. Typically, there's always a capo on the 2nd fret. And when they handed the guitar to Jimmy to start the song, it was on the 1st fret.
Okay.
So he just starts playing, didn't think about it. Dennis autocorrects because he's a genius. You know, it's like, oh, he doesn't think to himself, something's wrong here, let's stop, which he's been known to do. He just hears that different pitch and sings it a half step lower.
Yeah.
I don't have those ears.
Oh,
so I'm walking after my moment, right? And I go, cool guy at the first note of the solo. I'm like, because it's a half step off, right? I'm like, oh man. I hit it like 3 times. I'm like, what's happening? So like, go to the next phrase, and it's just as bad. And you hear those cliches about, when you have these dreams where you're playing and you're in your underwear or that kind of thing, where it's like, I felt like I was playing a saxophone upside down while riding a bicycle or something. It's like, I tried like 7 times to make this work. And I'm like, and I never dawned on me that you have man. It was utter chaos.
Yeah.
John Basucci's looking at me from the side. He's like, are you okay? Are you having a stroke? And eventually I was like, I just ran off stage. It was so embarrassing. And
you were probably looking around for Ashton Kutcher thinking he was punking you or something.
Yes, exactly.
So,
I couldn't.
So Michelle says something about you falling down.
Oh, that's not that embarrassing. We'll get back to that. I see Kimmy G's out there. Kimmy! Anyway, so that happened, and it was completely embarrassing. I was mortified, but then that's 8 more songs in the set. You forget about all that. We had fun afterwards, and we're at the airport the next day at baggage claim, wherever we flew to next, and we're standing there, the carousel. And all of a sudden, Dennis just abruptly is like, what the hell was that last night? And I'm like, just about to say, I have no idea. I can't be sorry. Or Jimmy steps in, saves me again. He's like, I know what it is. The capo was on the wrong fret. And it's like, all right, that makes sense. Right on the next thing. I was like, but then being who I am, I'm like, I got to see if that's on YouTube, right? Like, because I would kind of have to, I'd be embarrassed. At that point, I'd kind of revel in it. It's like, look at this, it's hilarious. And look at this poor guy.
Did it make it to YouTube?
Nope, not that I know of. And
Good. Yeah.
On that same trip, there was a guy who videoed the entire show, except for it was September 7. We were on the East Coast. I used to, early on, especially if we were playing someplace had some cultural significance or someplace interesting, try to bring the kids when they were little. I wanted to instill in them, an appreciation for and a love of travel and to see other places, because so many people still, you grow up and you have your little box you stay in for your whole life. And I wanted to see other parts of the country. So on that trip, I believe we ended up going we were in Providence, and then we ended up going to Boston, the Freedom Trail. But we've gone to New York and lots of things that were fun. We took them to Quebec. But where am I going with this? We had a story about being at baggage claim. And then, so this guy filmed the entire show. It's on Brooke, my youngest daughter's birthday. So Dennis says, hey, it's August daughter Brooke's birthday. Let's have the entire crowd sing happy birthday. And they did. And when I saw later this entire show was on YouTube, except for that, I messaged the guy on YouTube. I'm like, hey, I'm the guitar player. It was my daughter that we were singing to. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I needed a chance to put the camera down from him. So I figured that was as good as any. I just turned it off. I'm like, oh no. The moments that you wish were captured aren't,
Oh man.
And I just got to glance at the clock because I realized you guys know I'll talk all night, and I don't want to overstay my welcome here.
Oh no! Hey, are you kidding?
You are welcome to whenever you want to leave.
Yeah, that's right. We love hearing these stories, man. This has been incredible. But I just happen to think, I've known you for so many years, but I've never heard you say who your favorite band is.
Oh,
I know
favorite
you.
band.
Yeah, you.
That's
Right.
a great segue for me because I had it back here on.
Okay, so this is it.
Can you
If you
see
were
that
in
from
a car
here?
alone,
Can you see this from here? What
No.
that is?
Journey.
It's not all Journey.
No. Oh, it's Boston.
Oh, Boston.
So that is your favorite. That's
Yeah.
So this is my. So I
Right.
tell the story of, actually of that first record and of this actual physical record I have in front of me. So the first song I ever learned on guitar was More Than a Feeling.
Oh, wow.
And there was a guy 2 years older than me in high school that was kind of one of the two guitar players I knew in high school. And I would hound him relentlessly. Can you show me something and teach me how to play guitar?
Yeah.
And so he finally said, if you get me a date with your sister,
Shoot, sister.
kind of helped set that up one night.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing, because he showed me the intro, which, and I'm sure I didn't play it right for 20 years, but he showed me how to play it in that classic intro. And I remember saying to him, but when I see guys on TV, they're all playing way up here on the neck. What's that about? I need to play something up here. I didn't understand. He goes, that's solo, and that'll come much later. Don't worry about it. But anyway, so that was my first song. And I had, when I was, a younger teenage kid, I was so into Kiss.
Yeah.
And Ace Frehley was my absolute hero. And probably Peter Frampton first, as just seeing that Frampton Comes Alive, that iconic album cover. Yeah. I would stand with a tennis racket on, bounce on the couch, playing guitar. I didn't know what even guitar was really at that point. But anyway, that was an image. And then, Ace Frehley with his smoking Les Paul and all that. And I was huge into Kiss for a while. But then I think 1976 kind of happened, and it was again this record and the first Foreigner album.
Awesome. And
those two records, the first Foreigner record made me want to. Was a new appreciation for singers. I really thought Lou Gramm on that record. I go back to that record constantly to kind of review and try to sing like that. But this first Boston record is everybody say undeniable classic. Every song on there is fantastic, just pure genius. But I would say they were my favorite band for most of my life. And so in 2016, we got to tour with them, and to see them perform and to stand 15 feet away from Tom Scholz while he's doing these epic keyboard solos or playing guitar, and just to be part of that was just overwhelmingly cool to me. It was just like being, unbelievable. And, meeting the guys, I only had one interaction with Tom Scholz, I'll say that. And it was not great. It was just like, I kind of ran into him, and he was one time, and he was like, made some dry comment to me, and I was just too embarrassed. I kind of ran off, But that's on me. I should have forced an introduction at some point. But I did become friends with their singer Tommy DiCarlo, who's a wonderful guy, and we'll come back to him shortly too. Oh yeah, he's killing it on vocals, despite how they. Anyway, segue. Keith Marks, who is involved in the Styx camp for over 20 years, he was in Vegas doing their Raiding the Rock Vault show. He was production manager. Yeah. He knew all the guys from Boston, and he's Dennis, of course, for many years. He knew I was a big fan and arranged to get this signed for me. Right, very cool. But one step back, I know I keep doing this. My older brother, Mark, kind of inherited everyone's albums. As kids, as my sister moved away, I moved away. He kept all the albums, so he had everything. My younger brother, Steve, Mark's in Fairbanks and Steve's in Anchorage. Steve had driven up to visit him one time, and they were like going through all these old records and stuff. And he's like, wow, he goes, I think that was August's record. He goes, well, take it, give it to him. When you get to see him, he goes, he's like, I don't care. And so Steve actually arranged to get this back to me, which was cool enough in itself. And then actually get it signed and do the Boston tour. And then I will say, this isn't really public knowledge, but I was offered a chance to join the band. And at the end of the tour, and blew my mind in a big way. Wow. And I had to turn him down. And the reason for that was this is 2016 into 2016. Dennis had these grand, is this cheesy word to use, grand plans to do the Grand Illusion tour in next year in 2017 with a 40th anniversary.
Yes.
And I was going to be a big part of that. And I said, I can't do that to him right now. I've been in the band for 6 years. He's been nothing but great to me. And it would be so wrong to do that to him now.
Sure.
Granted, he could have found another guy, but whatever. But
Man,
I felt like that was an unbelievable opportunity and a very difficult choice to make, but I felt like it was the right choice.
Yeah.
And two things, they haven't played live. They toured the next year and they haven't gone out since. So, that's the thing with these. And I wanted to talk about this later. I don't know how late we're going to go here, Jim, but and I'm fine with it. But the point I wanted to bring up at some point, because you're intimately familiar with this, the industry is in a weird spot now where Tom Scholz, Dennis DeYoung, these guys are in their 70s, don't want to do this forever. And we're getting to a point where, some artists have passed, bless them, some have aged out, some are just, it's not fun touring, whether you're in a plane or a bus or whatever it is. It's not always, physically, it's physically demanding. I'm not going to whine about it. I'm not going to complain. Like Michelle would say, "Oh, your biggest complaint was that your luggage was late today, and you want to be on the 405 for 2 hours commuting to work." I'm like, "Yeah, point taken." I'm completely blessed and grateful for all this experience. But so had I jumped ship, I would have done one tour the next year and then been sitting on my butt. And back to my point, sorry. All these bands from that golden period to me of music, that late 70s, a lot of these guys, they're going to stop soon for one reason or another.
That's right.
And then it brings full circle back to us tribute guys. When in the beginning we were saying, oh, if you can sing like Steve Perry, great, but what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
Enter Arnell.
That's right.
In my case, of course, Tommy Shaw is still active and sounds great, but you have these guys who are either not going to be able to do it or not going to want to do it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You look at Foreigner is the best example, where at one point a couple of years ago, there was a time when Mick Jones was sick.
That's right.
And they were touring with Night Ranger, and Joel Hoekstra, who another brilliant guitar player, can play anything.
Yeah.
Probably learned all the songs in half an hour. He was like, hey, can you fill in? And he did about 2 weeks he did double duty. And it raised a lot of questions from people in the industry saying, is this still valid to call this band Foreigner? And it's all these guys are veteran players with their a great resume, but they're not Foreigner.
Right.
Can you still call it that when no one from the band is in it?
That's right.
And then Mick came back and Foreigner blew up. I mean, Whitesnake's opening for Foreigner. They're doing great numbers, and Kelly Hansen is a fantastic singer.
Unbelievable.
Sounds uncannily like Lou Gramm.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to discuss in the same regard is that you get these bands, and I'm not going to poke too much fun at the other guys, as Dennis calls them, but you get bands like Styx or Foreigner, where a lot of guys, not the original members. Yes. But the casual fan, these guys are playing a lot of festival type of shows.
Yeah.
Casual fan just sees a logo, they don't know, don't care, never knew. Yeah. Unlike guys like us who, are reading every liner note, and poring over every detail.
Yeah.
They don't care. And
for sure.
And they just know they're going to hear some music they knew from the 70s. They're going to have a few beers and have a good time.
Yeah. That's exactly right. You're right.
Where are we going with that? I mean, in the next 5 years, most of these, I don't want to sound, morbid. Certainly in the next 10 years, most of these bands will be done. And as far as original members, and then where does that leave guys like us? Is it valid? This is going to sound, it is what it is. I don't mean it this way, but is it valid to go out at some point saying, "Oh, I'm August Zadra on the music of Styx. Hey, I played for Dennis DeYoung for 15 years. I have a claim on some level, but I'm a stand-in to begin with." And it's all these bands are in that position. So, do you want to still hear that music, and do you want to see it performed live? You can listen to the record all day long, or the MP3, or whatever. But you can stream to your heart's content, but nothing can compare with a live experience. But and I guess this is not new. Our parents' era, I used to think when I'd see these acts in Vegas, it was like, oh, the Platters or something. It's like, who can still be around from that band? Maybe it's the third cousin twice removed, but there's some legitimacy involved. But we're going to get to the point where there isn't.
Well, I was just having that conversation with Gig a while back. August, what about the fact that, the tributes that, we're playing to these acts, the audience is getting older.
Yes.
I was just saying, Gig, when these people are reaching their mid 70s or 80s, are they going to still want to come out to the venues and listen to what we're doing?
I don't know the answer, right? And we're going to have to put it together.
It's a good question.
It's very interesting to think about, how the demographic.
Yeah.
I mean,
every 5 years it goes by, it's a new chapter happens.
I found that in the groups that I've been playing with, Zepp again has had the youngest audience present because there's a lot of teenagers that love the music,
and there's a lot of parents that
introduce it to their kids.
Good parenting, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. but for like Eagles, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young,
but our
James
kids,
Taylor,
our kids know that music
because they do.
We raised them.
But are they going to have a desire to want to go see it played live?
No.
You know what I mean? I really don't know. Like you're saying, all of this stuff is really interesting to me too, because a lot of those artists that were in their 60s, Paul McCartney, CSN, they were still active, and I thought, okay, they still sound pretty good now. What are they going to sound like when they get into their 70s?
Yeah.
You mentioned Mickey Thomas. That guy sounds phenomenal. Years old. That guy's amazing, man. But that, like you said, Dennis DeYoung is incredible.
Man,
in his 70s, but those are more the exceptions.
That's
not few and far between. Absolutely. I think I told you earlier off camera where it's like that. Yeah, I told Dennis one time. I said, "You're a freak of nature." He said, "I prefer anomaly." There's Steven Tyler, Sammy Hagar. Thomas. There's just not many guys from that era that
can still bring it.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at Paul McCartney. He's my all-time favorite artist. But at this age, he really can't sing the songs effectively, unfortunately. And it doesn't. I mean, I've listened to his latest album, and he's singing in like a baritone range.
But they take it down.
Well, no. I mean, live he doesn't. I think he still plays in 440.
I think he does.
And it's just, you can tell it's just too much of a stretch for him to really sing that stuff effectively anymore.
I have a friend who's a huge fan, and a couple of years back when Paul played Coachella, somehow he finagled getting a board tape of our board CD of that show.
Yes,
it's no one should have to. I mean, it's when speak bad of Paul McCartney, right? It's like
I know,
but it was not good, and it's like people. Yeah, and I wonder too what the motivation is. It certainly is not money, and I think they. It's Ron Henderson used to always say, it's in your DNA. It's like a virus. It's like you gotta play, you gotta write. And but it's certainly at a point where, I mean, tarnishing the legacy is a phrase that comes to mind.
Sure.
But it means so much to so many people, especially in his case. And these are the absolute greatest songs ever written. And
absolutely.
But to see it performed like that, it sometimes I don't know. I should stop talking about that now.
Yeah. I know. It's really a sad thing that's happening. But we have Lori Alexander says, my daughter says Steven Tyler is her grandfather and John Bon Jovi is her uncle. Michaels is her dad, and I guess I raised her right because she knows all of those bands.
That's one spin on it. That's good parenting again.
Yes,
I love it.
But
one of my proudest, Michelle and I, one of our proudest moments. We were driving somewhere. I forget how our youngest Brooke was probably 8, something like this. And we were driving in the car, and Tom Sawyer was on the Rush song, and Here comes this. Here's Brooke, and just like playing somebody. I was like, yes.
That's awesome.
One of my favorites.
And she would hum guitar solos, just perfect pitch. Could never get her to sing because she's too embarrassed. But
wow, really?
Neither one of my kids, Kennedy actually, my older one, she's a guitar of mine. I'm at this point now where, let me, Jim, Brent, if you want to. I've got so many guitars. I'm trying to get them out of the house so we can make space. It's like, oh, you want to borrow one? You want to borrow one? Her roommate has one of my guitars. She's got one of my guitars, and she started to teach herself. And she said, I can play GCD now. And I'm like, every 80s song in every
That's
GCD,
right.
how many songs? So when I do my Friday shows, which we'll talk about later, you could do a whole medley, man. It's like every rock band had a GCD, acoustic song in the 80s.
I mean, then every 90s band, you could probably play every song. The alternative.
Absolutely.
So if you had the opportunity, I mean, you don't need to at this point, but I mean, or maybe you would want to, but if you had the opportunity to do another tribute to any other artist, who would it be?
Boston.
Well, he's already done that.
I know, but maybe what's
maybe I should run with that ball for a second. I want to. Some of you that see the Friday shows know I have been given orders about what I can and can't say. So I have a new project coming up. I forgot to even talk about that. So remind me to talk about my solo album next, please.
Okay,
sure.
So back to the conversation of tribute bands and Boston being my favorite bands. I'm going to be doing a thing later this summer. The first gig is going to be in so far as August 21st, but I'm going to be working with the singer from Boston, Tommy DiCarlo.
Yeah.
We're going to have 2 separate shows. There's going to be a double bill. It's the music of Styx. Excuse me. It's Tommy DiCarlo and the music of Boston, and it's going to be at Rudy Cardenas and the music of Journey. And I'll be.
Did you say that out loud?
I don't know. He said I could say it. I couldn't print it. See, that's my legal team. Are you supposed to say that? I don't really know. It's been kind of a weird thing. But, and people involved, some of the people involved don't want to call it a tribute band. And I'm saying, kind of back to, there's nothing wrong with being a tribute band.
Nothing wrong.
Half the guys in tribute bands are at least as good as the guys in the regular band.
Totally.
And so kind of want to go back to that, spinning around again. When I got called up, so to speak, and you're talking about you're playing in the minor league of the AAA league, and now you're up to the big leagues kind of thing.
Yeah.
I felt like I had so many people, my friends that were in tribute bands, saying how, hey man, we're so proud of you, and you made the jump kind of thing. And, and I kept saying, I feel great about that, and I want to be an example, not of look what I can do, but look what's possible, not just where it's valid. We're all good musicians.
That's exactly right.
Happen. You could get up to the next level.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now full circle with playing the music of Boston and the music of Journey, and that's going to be happening later in the summer and into who knows how long it'll run. But
so he's singing both of those, Boston and Journey.
He'll be doing the Boston set, and then Rudy will be doing the Journey stuff.
Oh, yeah. Rudy. Okay, because he's been in Lights for years, right?
Been in Lights for years, and he and I have the band Waiting for Monday, which we had our first album out on Frontiers last February, and then COVID came and pulled the rug out.
Yes, yes.
And we will begin. We're already behind schedule. I'm not sure what Frontiers is up to with this, but we're supposed to be working on a new Waiting for Monday album this year as well. But before we could do that, they wanted me to give them a solo record. And real quick story here is that they had, and I owe Jeff Soto for this, who's a dear friend of mine.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They came to him kind of in an A&R capacity saying, who do you know? And he was like, gotta get August in there. And so they came to me saying, we'd love to have you do a solo record. And I mentioned earlier in this conversation, I'm not a guy who many would call overconfident, but I told him at the time, I said, thanks, but no thanks. I don't want I don't want to be the singer, the guitar player, the songwriter, the guy who arranges the album art, who, you know, has the photo shoots. I don't want to be responsible for everything. And I've always viewed bands in one regard as like a tribal kind of thing, where it's like, these are my guys. And everybody has that cliche of, you know, us against the world thing when you're doing your first, when you're in young bands. But Michelle, and maybe you can relate to this. In the back in the days of, you know, whether it was Smokin' or Grand Illusion or Lights or Escape, any of these journey bands, she'd say, why do you have to rehearse these songs? These songs are 30 years old. You've been playing them for 20 years. I'm like, but I said, because I like to get in the room with these buddies of mine, loud music and sweat and have fun and do this, man. This is, you know, we don't play golf. You know, I don't have a drug problem. It's like, this is what I do for fun. And it can turn into something else, and all the more power to us. But that, what I just said there, I want to go back to too, is I always tell people, like, people come to you after a show, you know, oh, I wish I could play guitar, or I play guitar, or I play bass, I play piano just a little bit. It's like, is it fun for you? Does it give you enjoyment? And God bless you. And that's everything.
That's right.
Sometimes I tell people you're better off if you played at a hobby level, because the odds of you getting and further with it are so discouraging. So just have fun and get some enjoyment out of it. Have fun with your friends. That's huge.
Yes, absolutely. You're right, man. You're absolutely right about that. Well, who are the other players doing the project with you? The Journey and the Boston.
The MD for both these projects is I'm sure you know him, Steve Ferlazzo.
Yes.
And you know, he's a fantastic musician in his own right, but he's going to be the MD for both of these. And
awesome.
I'm the guitar player, or the main guitar player, and then Tommy DiCarlo's son, Tommy Jr. He's going to be. Tommy's brought his son Tommy, and then their bass player is this super talented young woman named Peyton. That she is a prodigy. I mean, she plays bass, guitar, keys, sings. High harmonies are covered. That's
amazing.
And the plan right now is that we're going to. Last week I had a blast. Steve had me. I took the entire Journey catalog and sang all the backing vocals, every single backing vocal I've ever done. Sang them all on, you know, and sent him the tracks so he can use those to hand out to everybody else to learn parts from. It's gonna be fun. Awesome. But then I had a blast doing it, you know. And I offered to do the Boston stuff because I said I know all that stuff, man. I spent so many years in the trenches with it. You know, I'd love to have some value come out of that. But and then the drummer is John Douglas, who was teching for Boston when I was out on the road with them. And he would sit in a couple songs a night. He's great. He did the Aerosmith gigs to replace sub for Joey Kramer at one point.
Wow.
I think that's everybody involved. And then with Rudy being the other singer. And so the plan is we're going to get together for a couple days before the first show and knock it out. And Steve and I, and probably every other musician involved, are telling the manager, it's like, that sounds fantastic on paper. You know, the what could go wrongs are longer than the set list. You know, it's like, what if somebody's flight's late? What if the gear breaks? What if they can't get the rehearsal venue? What if? And all of a sudden, boom, we're on stage going, I don't even know this person I'm supposed to be playing. But, you know, we've all done that. You know, but it's...
you have a date for the first show, though? It's
I do and can't.
divulge it.
All right.
I can tell you.
Find out.
Some of you out there already know it. It's out there for public consumption, but I'm not allowed to say it at this point.
Okay. Well, we'll look it up.
So, yeah, it's out there. You can find it.
Now, what about your solo album? So you want to tell us a little bit?
That's
more
right. Yes. So the first time I turned it down, and I forget how I got my bad segue there, but then they said, "Well, are there any singers you'd like to work with?" And Rudy and I had talked about doing things together for years, doing the Lights tribute, you know, Journey tribute, and so they said, you know, well, let's do this band, and basically they said, we'll give Rudy a deal if August is the guitar player. So we got together. Rudy had his friend Eric Baines, who you may know, the bass player, Berkeley guy, super talented, great singer too. And then we got together, first discussions, Rudy said, we're talking about direction and whatnot. And I said, I feel very strongly that we need to have a utility guy that plays both keys and guitar. I don't necessarily want keys on every song, but it should be a very prominent instrument. And I don't want to have two guitar players and a keyboard player. So he said, got a guy in mind. I'm like, Walter Eno. First thing out of my mouth, it's like, that guy is, I'm sure you know Walter. Uber talented guy. He kind of like Mark Magnich in a way, can play any stringed instrument, plays sax, plays harmonica, plays drums, owns and operates the studio. He produces bands. He's just that guy. And, he was in Survivor for 9 years, and he's a A-list guy. He's a real deal. And I'm thrilled to have done that album with him. He produced it, and I'm hoping to work with him again on the second record. But in the interim of all that, I said, you know what? I remember having a conversation with Brad Gillis when we would do shows with Night Ranger. He's a great guy. And I remember the first story, but I knew Joel Hoekstra somehow from something first. I can't remember exactly how that happened, but when he was in Night Ranger, we were doing a show together at some theater in New York that's got an in the round stage. And I went down to the venue and I see Brad down there by their guitar vault, and say, "Oh, hey man," and he's like, we hadn't met yet, and he just starts telling me, right? He was like, he goes, "Yeah, I need this one to be ready, and this one needs this tweaked," and and I'm like, he goes, "Just feel this, see what you think," and I'm like, it's his red Strat, right? The red Strat, and I'm like,
"Oh, sure, yeah,
cool, man." Like, and he goes, and so that's not right. He goes, that's why the last guy's in here. They had just replaced the guitar tech.
Oh.
I'm going, and Joel's like, "Hey, bro, what are you doing, man?" He's like, "Brad, he's not your tech. He's Dennis's guitar player, man." And he's like, "Oh, sorry." It was just fun. But, he's a great dude. But one time we were talking about this, and I said, he said, "Well, why aren't you doing a solo thing?" I said, I told him the same thing. I said, I'm not confident in being that guy. And he goes, "Dude, you're singing the Tommy Shaw stuff for Dennis DeYoung. You could be that guy." I'm like, "Oh, Brad Gillis said so." And I said, let's do it. And they put me, my thing also, no problem admitting this. I'm not a strong songwriter. Like a lot of guitar players, I'm a riff guy. I've got a boatload of parts I don't know what to do with, and usually it's a singer or somebody else to go, "Well, give me that part, and I'll make a song here." And there's a guy at Frontiers, one of their artists, he's their staff writer, staff producer. He does mixing, mastering. He's in a couple of their bands. His name is Alessandro Del Vecchio, and he's a genius. And they put him together with me. I sent him like 42 song ideas. Yeah. And he just put some dust on it, and within weeks he sent me back this. Is this what I've got? And then he wrote some songs specifically for me, which is one of his strengths. Is he spent a lot of time watching videos of me and listening to what I do, and he said, "This is what I think. This is a song I think would be perfect for your voice."
Oh, okay. Wow!
As it turns out, I cursed him many times. I'm like, and he's again a great multi-instrumentalist. He sang, played bass, played guitar, programmed drums, and sang all backing vocals on all the demos for me. And when I first got him, I'm like, "What do you need me for?" He's so good at everything. It was very, it was intimidating. No, I want to hear you sing the songs. And
yeah.
And I was working with my friend Andy Zuckerman, who tracked vocals for me in a couple of songs, and I'm killing myself. And I texted him, we're in the middle of tracking. I'm like, "Bro, why are you gonna sing so high?" He's like, "Because I know you can too."
Why are you gonna sing so high?
He pushed me. There were some things I sing some pretty nice stuff on this record, man. But
yeah,
it's a real thrill to have it. It's essentially done. He sent me all the songs are now they're not fully mixed, but their rough mixes have been done. Okay. The only musical piece missing is a solo. Dennis graciously offered. He called me about something out of the blue one time. We were talking, and I'm in the middle of recording stuff, and I said, you don't ask, you don't get, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I have learned over the years. I said, what's your rate right now for doing backing vocals or maybe doing a keyboard solo for me on this record? And he said, let's just take it out of the money that you haven't made working for me this year.
That's perfect answer.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
And I didn't want to overshoot. And if his voice is on my record, it's going to sound like Styx, right? No matter what I sound like or any of the songs sound like. And I don't think he would have liked that, so to speak. And I'm not sure that I should have done it that way. It would have seemed like I was, you could ride the coattails pretty hard, right? But it's like, although this doesn't make sense now that Jeff Soto ended up singing backing vocals on every song except one, I think. And so some of these songs, now I had sang backing vocals on a lot of Jeff's recent records, so he kind of owed me the favor kind of thing. But Alessandro is, again, a ridiculous singer. You've got Jeff, who has his voice that's so big and also very recognizable. But there's one song, the first song on the record, and the first mix I heard, I was like, oh, because it doesn't sound like the demo did. There's this triple tracked, this big comes out, right?
Yeah.
And so he did it. Jeff sang it 3 times, the 3 part. I sang the 3 parts. And it just sounds, it's one of those goofy, there's, I think, 62 vocal tracks on this song.
Wow.
Now that I've heard the first mix, it doesn't sound like that. And I'm not saying I want it to sound like Queen or Def Leppard, but I want to have that, And then, so we're going to be working on that. But so it's almost done. And now I'm at the point where we've had contractors in the house today. I haven't had a good chance to sit down and make my notes, but I got to go, as you listen through every song and say, the guitar solo is not loud enough. That's my only concern. You got to say, hey, I'm never going to be the guy. I don't have the producer ears. I'm not going to say, maybe switch there's kind of a different drum pattern on the first part of the bridge, or the bass player should play this. I'm counting on everybody to do their thing, and Alessandro played bass. But I just want levels at a certain point. Like if I think this isn't hot enough or there's not enough, the first song I sent back to him, I said, the first mix I heard, I'm like, I want to hear more of the backing vocals. I want it to be big.
Right.
Like they're there. Let's
Yeah.
I'm an 80s guy at heart, 70s, 80s. I want that big production. But there's one song that has this kind of a slippery, but it's a clean guitar part, kind of in the fade. But it's I sent him, because we heard it in the car the other day when we had a long drive, Michelle and I, and we listened to a bunch of Journey songs, and it's the song "I'll Be All Right Without You." As the outro solo, it's a bunch of Neil's a genius player, but some of the stuff, he's got so much verb and delay happening. What he's playing is undeniably brilliant, but God help you if you can actually hear the notes because it's so wet. And I said, sorry, Neil, love you. But I can never hear this. But that's what I wanted. I want that, just that kind of blur.
Yeah.
Alessandro, he said, no. And he sent it back to me he goes, the part where you played is cool, and we don't want to steal that vibe. It's like, let it be its own thing. And also on this particular song, the song starts and ends with this kind of clean guitar, and me again not being that guy, needle drops, boom, I'm playing a solo. And so he cut out the first 4 bars, and I'm like, oh, so the song can get established. It's actually a song, not just a solo, right? Yeah. So it's been good for me to start thinking bigger picture. Right. And that gets me back to, one of your stock questions you sent me, to be prepared for, kind of was any regrets. Yeah. And not a regret at all about being a musician or anything related to it. Sure. But I wish that earlier on, 2 things. One, I would have, I was somewhat typical, I'd like to think, in that as a guitar player, all I cared about was guitar. I'm obsessed with guitar. But to realize that there's a song structure, and like Dennis is always like, that solo, it sounds like the guy didn't know what song he was playing. It's like, I want to hear something that all serves the song. Yeah. And my favorite example of this is Mike Campbell from the Tom Petty's band. Everything he played, just you couldn't possibly come up with a better part. And it didn't matter that he wasn't flashy. But when I was a kid, if there were, I didn't like ELO, for God's sake, because there wasn't flashy guitar solos. Great songs, amazing band, but where's the solo?
Sure.
I was very shallow in that regard. And I remember Uli Roth, the guitar player from Scorpions originally, genius player, so technical, but even at his level of what he was saying, that this doesn't matter. The technique's a mean to an end. And he said, what I wish more guitar players understood was that you should try to be a musician first, guitar player second, because there's so many more things happening. Your part in the song, and that's just so many guitar at GIT too. They were like 96% of the song you're playing rhythm guitar. Wow. That's important,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Wow.
And then here's a great quote from Dennis, and again, where I said a couple of times, I think tonight, where I still don't really consider myself to be a singer, and again, not looking for fishing for compliments. In my mind, it was always guys where when you hear a fantastic male female singer, it's a human reaction. Your hair grows up in your arms, right? And I got, hair in your arms, it takes a lot, but it's like you hear these people because it's pure emotion. They're not playing an instrument. It's all right here. And to me, it's the purest expression. This is your soul, released. Right. And when you hear somebody really do that, it's just amazing. Yeah. And so in my mind, there's people who sing and do that, and there's people who hit the notes. And I feel I'm perfectly capable of hitting the notes most of the time, and we all have moments where we're better moments than others, but I've never thought that I'm a singer. And in that first day I met Dennis, and we were talking about this, and he asked me about some of the my background and all this. And I remember one time in the first year in LA, a band I was playing with, and we were in some rehearsal studio in North Hollywood, and the studio owner comes in, he's like, who's singing? I was, and he's like, and I was playing my Randy Rhoads Jackson, right? And he's like, what are you doing playing guitar with that? Why the pointy guitar? And what's going on with these guys? He goes, you need to get a Strata or Les Paul and sing, my friend. That's all I got to say. Take it or leave it. And I was like, screw you. I'm a guitar hero. That's all I wanted to be. And I've never was going to be.
You are definitely a singer. You are definitely a singer.
And I had sung demos. Usually my role was, I'll sing on the demo and give it to the guy who's going to sing, right? I'll get the point across. Yeah. But when I was talking to Dennis on that first day, he says, what your problem is? He said, all along you thought of yourself as a guitar player who sings. He said, if you would have thought of yourself as a singer who plays guitar, God, you know where you'd be by now? Yeah, probably nowhere. That's just the way the universe works. And it's true, right? Then he also said, he goes, let me tell you this, August. He said, every once in a great while, the universe will tilt in your direction. Yeah. Right. When it does, you have to be ready.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You've shown me that you're ready. And as you know, Ron Henderson, one of his famous lines, I'd rather be lucky than good. Because talent so many times is, you better have it when it comes time to Yeah. That's again, when I moved to LA and I thought, okay, everybody I meet here is going to be A-level. And I don't want to talk bad. It's not my thing. You'll find out the guys who talk the most are, all going to spend all their time telling you how great they are. Mm-hmm. They're marginal players. It's the guys who go, yeah, I play a little.
Yeah, you're right.
Melt your face. It's like, quiet confidence.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, August. I mean, but I got to tell you, man, when the word—
You're hungry. You want me to stop talking? No.
No. I was going to say, when you announced that happened, I mean, with you joining Dennis's band,
we were proud. We were so proud.
Oh man, it just sent shockwaves through the tribute world.
It was really cool,
and everybody was like, "Yes, it's happened."
We were proud of you. Yeah, it was all.
Thank you. I still feel so good about that because we were all like on this part of the same team. It's like that's nothing. There was never any real. Of course, there's always competition. You want to be the best band you can be, but like if we're on a bill with Led Zeppelin, it's like we're not going to go. We're going to blow those guys off the stage. That's our goal tonight. It's like these guys are great. We get to play great music, and in front of them, they're going to play great music. They're great guys. We're all having fun. There was, to my knowledge, there's never any like that kind of, as Freddie Mercury would say, sniping and grousing.
Right.
That's right. Not at all. There was always mutual
so cool. So when somebody,
Proud of
something
you.
good happened to one of us. That's another thing Dennis always,
Yeah.
he's influenced me, you could say, greatly. But he would always say, all ships rise with the tide.
Yeah.
And that's why when Tommy joined the band, the first album they did with Tommy was called Crystal Ball. They gave him the title track. When Glenn Burtnick replaced Tommy, same thing. He said, so that's what reminds me of this. Tribute bands all got like a shot in the arm because it's like, look, we're all musicians too.
Exactly right.
Well, I don't know if you know this, August, but the very first tribute show I went to was, I believe it was like 1981.
Jeez.
It was rain.
Like I was like 2 years old.
Oh, stop. It was like 1981 at East LA College in their auditorium. It was the band Rain doing a tribute to the Beatles. The bass player doing Paul McCartney, Glenn Burtnick.
That's right. He was one of the first guys. That's right.
I love that you guys know that. I love that you know that.
I bet 3 people in the crowd already nailed that. And he's a lefty too.
Like fully connected with it.
he was amazing as Paul McCartney. I got to tell you, and left-handed. So
yeah.
Well, August, if you ever need a bass player, this guy's the guy.
I know it. We'll play again at some point, my friend. I have a feeling,
Oh, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will, man. But yeah, I mean, we can't thank you enough for joining
we had
us.
such a good you tonight.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
You and your beautiful wife. We have to go to dinner.
Yeah,
we have to do something.
Absolutely.
Let's do that, please.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll do it. We'll do it.
And
Maskless dinner, even.
what's that?
We could have a maskless dinner.
Yeah,
Thank God.
absolutely.
Finally, I mean, it was a rough year. Yes,
Yeah.
we will.
Oh
And
man.
one more thing, when you have support of you and everybody in the tribute band community has been, you go back to our Grand Illusion website that we used to have. You were one of the testimonials.
Is that right?
It said when Dave and August sing the harmonies, I close my eyes and it sounds like Dennis DeYoung and Tommy Shaw are singing. And I was like, put that on the website.
It really did, man. I mean, honestly, you guys smoking Grand Illusion,
The best. The best.
They were my favorite. And whenever I wasn't playing and you guys were, we were there. It was like
we all supported each other. Zukowski was always Steve Zukowski would be in the front row every time Smoking played. Just like every song, it was like
yes,
love that.
Absolutely, man. We just loved those groups, and to see this happen with Dennis, I'm telling you, it couldn't have happened to a better player, singer, or nicer guy. So we are so proud of you, man.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
It's
So
truly a dream gig. I feel like in some ways, like with weird having the same birthday, and it's like we do not sound the same. I mean, I have a similar tone.
Yes.
We won't discuss the whole look-alike thing. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Dennis hired 2 guitar players who look exactly like Tommy and JY," but it's a custom fit gig for me. I couldn't have asked for a better thing to step into, let alone having studied the parts for 20 years, and we're both short-statured men, and and from a distance, I can see it when people see it on stage. Like, I see the similarities. I'm not going to downplay that, but it's been a dream gig, and I will do this until the rails come off.
And you do an amazing job.
Yeah,
you kill it. You kill it.
What is the very next show that you're going to be doing? I mean, I would imagine it's the new project, but right now there's no plans for Dennis. He said
with Dennis, and that's the reason we're doing this. Is Dennis said he's not going to be working until February.
Okay.
So that was giving the other project the green light.
Well, we'll have you back on maybe
please
prior to your tour, so that you could bring us current on all the new dates that you've got coming
Absolutely.
up.
Thank you. I'd love to do that. And let me do this real quick while I'm thinking of it. This is try to get this on the camera. This is the most recent Dennis DeYoung record. It's called 26 East Volume 2, and that's his final album.
One more time.
Sorry, if I can. I'm terrible at this. Trying to figure out how to.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay. That's it.
Nice.
26 East Volume 2,
Okay.
And on the back, it has his homage to the Beatles.
Oh, that's awesome.
You got it. You got it.
Very
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah, that's
Driving away
awesome.
in the '65 Mustang. But it's the final. I mean, he agreed to make two. He was going to make a final record for Frontiers. Almost done, baby. And oh, that's right. I still got to do that. I'm sorry. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. So two things real fast. Dennis said, I'll do one last record, and ended up having so many songs that Frontiers talked him into doing 2 albums. So it's Volume 1, Volume 2. But this is the last studio work he'll do. He's not going to do it anymore. And I'm all over this thing, which I'm thrilled about. And the very last track on the record is he did a reprise of the grand finale from the Grand Illusion record. Wow. And I'm playing all the guitars on it and singing the harmonies.
Oh, wow.
It was bittersweet because it's like, it's done. But I feel like I got to be the bookend on his career. And it's overwhelming, man. But the funny thing on my track too, it has the giant 3-part harmonies. Yeah. And I'm singing them. And then there's an extra high part. And he goes, don't worry about that. No, I said, hey, you left one out. You want me to sing the high part? He goes, there's a higher part than that. I'm like, yeah. He goes, don't worry about it. And I'm kicking myself because I could have just done it and then given it to him to decide later. But when I get the song, I'm like, where's the,
Oh, yeah, I see.
Now, Michelle, very kindly, good wife that she is, and the unofficial co-producer of my Friday night events. Yes. Last thing I'll talk about, I swear, guys, I'm sorry to keep you so long.
No.
During COVID, we had come back from, we have a timeshare in Mexico we do every March, and our show's been getting canceled, so I was originally going to play gigs in Ohio and fly to meet my family down there, but those gigs got canceled. All the gigs started getting cut. And so I came back, we got the whole week in Cabo, which was great. Came back and started thinking, I don't know if I'd seen somebody else do one, but I thought, I'm already getting itchy, right? So I said, I'm just going to sit on a stool in my sweatpants and play for 45 minutes or an hour and just be fun for my own sanity. And, everyone's stuck at home, a literal captive audience. And I had like 320 people show up the first night. And I was like, wow. And we had,
we were 2 of the 322.
Awesome. And so I said, I'll do this next week. What the heck? Let's have fun with it. Yeah. 67 weeks later, I'm doing this. No, I mean, I never thought it would go, because remember 2 weeks, we're going to flatten the curve, right?
Yeah.
So we'd have these milestone shows. I would do events like week 20. I took the X from the Styx and made it into 2 X's and a little logo. And I did a Styx night, and then there'd be theme nights. And then, week 45, I did all KTEL records. It was like 45. And it kept thinking, how long can this go on? How can I keep doing numbers and make it interesting? And then, the year event went by, and we're still, this will be tomorrow. Is today Thursday? Right? Today Thursday?
Today's Wednesday.
Oh, thank God. I haven't practiced yet. It'll be week 67. And this is a T-shirt for my event that a very talented friend of mine, Tony Sinacrapi, made. And it's, there's Michelle, since you don't get to see her tonight. She's on the shirt. Yeah. And it's called the Acoustic Happy Hour Hang. It's very casual. I lucked out early on, and I didn't call it. It's not a gig. It's not a performance. I'm allowed to and celebrate all the mistakes I make, which are many. And I'm sitting on a stool in my living room in front of the fireplace. There's cocktails being served. Michelle's interjecting. The dog's running among the kids are in and out. We have some guests sometimes, and it's just been so casual. Yeah. And I think it's been. I would go too far with it sometimes. Like earlier, I'd say, "This is what you guys want to peek behind the curtain. This is how goofy, the people you imagine to be rock stars are." It's like it's all the grand illusion, right? Deep inside, we're all the same. And it's been a blast, and I've met a lot of wonderful people, and this community that's developed. It's been incredible to see friendships develop, and you have people getting connected where it's again all captive audience. We're all stuck at home, but we can all. This became a safe place. No one talks about politics. There's no race, anything about just music. And then it got to be when there's regular, there's a hardcore group of like 120 people that are there the entire time. I had Jeff Soda with me 2 weeks ago. We played for 4.5 hours. Really? Insane. But people know each other, and it's a community now, and it's been wonderful. It's a safe place for people to go on the internet. But it would have been a gross injustice for me not to mention that, because I've said it a million times, it's been the real, silver lining on the dark cloud of 2020, and to continue in 2021, I never imagined would happen, and now we're freaking into July. But, Jim, I should have you over to join me on that one time.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
that would be amazing.
I would love that.
Let's do it.
That would be
for those of you who might not know, Jim plays bass, he plays guitar, he plays keyboards, he plays many things, sings his ass off. It'd be fun to have another instrument involved too.
Yeah.
And,
I love that. That'd be
that would be fun, man. I think we should definitely do that.
All right.
Let's make a plan. Dinner and a Friday night.
We have to do
absolutely
a dinner.
Yes. That would be so much fun, man.
I want to thank. I haven't been paying attention much. I'm trying to. I'll go back and watch. I know, Brenda, you have to see how you post this. I'll go back and look at all the comments, everybody. I want to thank all of you who showed up. Thank you guys for having me. I know I talk a lot and in very scatterbrained.
Oh, it's good. It was good.
What a blast! And it's an honor to think and to have anybody think you might have something interesting to say.
Well, there may be some questions in that feed too, that you may want to answer as you're going through them.
Absolutely.
A lot of questions.
Okay. Is it typically you guys have an interactive thing where is it real-time questions? Because
Yes. So when you look back, at the show, you'll be seeing these questions. If you didn't happen to answer them, you'll have an opportunity to respond to them.
Fantastic. I will do that. I promise to do that, everybody. It might not be tonight, but it'll be soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You guys, thank you so very much.
Yeah.
You're lovely human beings. Hugs. And I'll see you soon in the flesh. And let's do dinner and we'll talk about doing a show.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
To Michelle too.
Take care, everybody. Thank you so much, Will. Yes. Everybody be good to each other. God bless. Good night.
Bless. Have a great night.
Okay. All right, guys. So good show.
Awesome.
Wow.
So
it was
cool.
so much fun. So much history. So much stuff.
I know. We could have gone another 2 hours.
Yeah.
And still not even scratched the surface.
I don't even know what time it is. Is it dinner time?
It's dinner time. 9:30 it is.
So we have
okay. So our good friend Larry Peschel is going to be doing a show at Screaming Sally's.
Screaming Sally's.
Does anybody know where that
July 18th, guys. July 18th.
But it's an early show.
1 to 5 p.m.
in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's going to be Best Shot.
Pat Benatar.
And also his Pretenders tribute.
Yeah.
Precious, is that?
Precious.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you don't want to miss that. It's Screaming Sally's. Sunday, July 18th. It's going to be 1 to 5.
Interesting fact, where the U.S. festival was.
The US Festival.
Same time. Us. Did I say U.S.?
Same lineup, same date.
Same lineup, same date. All right. All right,
so
guys.
It's an anniversary. Basically.
Best Shot, Pretenders, Screaming Sally, July 18th.
Yep.
Go to that show.
And next week.
Are we going?
Huh? I don't know. Are we going?
I don't know.
We didn't say anything.
We need to look at our calendar.
Yeah,
we don't even know. I just gave Jim this 2-page letter of our next 2 days.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, and there's no shows coming up this weekend for me. This is probably the last one until the end of the year.
We have weddings. We have sisters coming in. We have a lot of stuff.
Okay. Wait, when were you going to tell me about that?
I told you last week.
Yeah. So and next week I'm going to tell you about we've got a TLR show.
Yep.
On the 15th that I'll be telling you all the details about, and Led Zeppelin is flying to Houston, Texas to play a show. So we'll let you know about all of that.
Remember, next week, let me do this. Next week, you guys, we have an exciting show. I'm gonna post the entire month, but next week we have our friend Juan from DSP.
Yeah.
You guys, he is gonna give us some dirt.
Wait. Do you know something that I don't?
No, I don't know. He's not going to dirt.
We're going to find out all about how he started singing Journey, how he got into the tribute world.
Juan from DSP. See you guys next Wednesday. Juan
the
from
man,
DSP.
the myth, the legend, Juan Del Castillo is going to be with us. So make sure you mark your calendars and make your plans to join us next Wednesday night, 7 p.m. here on WAW, where we ask the eternal question,
What's happening? All right, you guys.
God bless you all.
See you next
Keep
Wednesday.
on rocking in the free world, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.